What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers tonight get a dominant win, 124-102 over the San Antonio Spurs. One of the most complete games of the season against a Spurs team that has still played okay basketball. This is an impressive win for Portland. Could have easily been a trap game, second night of a back-to-back after getting an emotional win over the Los Angeles Lakers, but the Blazers didn't treat this like a trap game. They didn't fall into the trap. They came out and took care of business. You had good performances from not only Dame, from not only CJ, from not only Nurkic. Norman Powell played well as well. You had a number of players playing good in this one. Some good individual performances, especially with our best four. When those guys are playing like that, we're a hard team to beat. The Blazers came out and also defended well. So a very enjoyable game. So thank you for tuning in, making us a part of your night. Hope your night is going well. Hope you enjoyed this game. This was a pretty relaxing game. A pretty enjoyable one. You had Nurkic going off in the third quarter. You had Dame hit 3 threes in a row. You had CJ start saucing on San Antonio in the fourth quarter to officially put it away. So there were some good moments in this one. Eric, how are you doing, and what are your thoughts on this game?
7 out of 8 games now. Love to see that. I like the way we put San Antonio away, didn't let them hang around and possibly blow it. So this stretch of games has been really different from the rest of the year in that most of the games have been relatively decisive. And I like that we're not just immediately blowing like 10-point leads when we get them and letting teams back in the game. We seem to be a little more locked in and focused for the duration of these games versus just for a few minutes and then, go back to losing focus and then have to get it back to make a comeback and all that kind of stuff. So my main takeaway is that the Blazers are simply taking care of business right now.
Yeah, it's been pretty consistent effort-wise, and that was a big talking point all season long. This team even admitted it themselves, they were not giving consistent enough effort. It's nice to see some sort of consistency with that, and they needed to show some sort of consistency with that in order to avoid the play-in. Now they're in a situation, win the tiebreaker last night, taking care of business against San Antonio. Their next game's against Houston. We'll see what the Lakers do, but they're putting themselves in a position to at least avoid that play-in scenario. Now, who they would match up against in the first round is still...
Nuggets lost tonight, so that hurts for... that possibility.
Wanted the Nuggets to win tonight because it's likely the Blazers are going to slide into 6th with the schedule the Mavericks have left. But if the Blazers can keep winning games, maybe the Blazers can work their way up to 5th. At this point, by the day, it's looking more likely that it's a Clippers first-round series. But, I'd be ready for that. Dame's getting rested. Dame doesn't end up playing in the fourth quarter today. That's a good thing. He's finally looking like himself. He had that month where he struggled, was kind of nicked up, banged up, all that sort of stuff. Now he's looking fresh, he's looking healthy at the right time of year, and we're not, we play him 31 minutes tonight. That's much better than playing him 39 in a game that they had pretty much taken care of for the entirety of the second half. So this was a good game, not only just to not fall into a trap game, but just to get Dame some rest, to get Nurkic some rest, just to keep guys fresh enough, because you got Houston, should be another game where they can rest. Then you got 3 tough games to end the season. You got Utah, you got Phoenix, you got Denver. Now, maybe those teams rest some guys, but regardless, it's nice to be rested heading into those because we might need to have some success against those teams to have any chance at getting the 5th seed, assuming Dallas doesn't win out.
Yeah, Dallas has been playing really good, so it feels destined to be us versus the Clippers in the first round, which is not the most favorable matchup. But, crazy things could happen, I guess. Got to get lucky and have some upsets here, I think.
Yeah. So, shout out Near012 for the $10 dono. Before we even went live, what's up, Near Zero? He says, started off with a dono. Easily the best game of the season. We started off ice cold and didn't fall behind by 20. We fed Nurk for the whole third quarter, and we pulled away doing that. I'm impressed. And Nurkic taking over that third quarter to kind of take that lead from what was 10 points up to 15, 16 was enjoyable. It's fun to watch him play well. And he had a great third quarter, was finishing well, was making some solid plays. Would have liked to have seen him get up a three, considering how well he shot the three ball. That's not something that I've really said before, but he's been shooting the three ball well, so he was playing with a lot of confidence, and I think that's kind of the key thing, is he finally looks confident. In his early season struggles, I felt like he didn't look confident. It wasn't just him not really having a rhythm, being out of shape and whatnot. He didn't look confident, and of course that probably has something to do with it, but and then when he gets back, it's going to take him some time. He's going to be rusty. He's not going to have a feel for the game, so that's to be expected. It's just nice to see him going from kind of looking unsure of himself to now playing as confident as he is, because he looks absolutely confident, and I've said this when he's healthy numerous times before. He is the X factor for this team. What he can do defensively, his playmaking, the types of shots he can help open up for our guards. He is crucial. He made a lot of, I think he finished with 5 assists today?
Yeah, I think so.
5 assists today. He's averaging 5 assists per 36 minutes. Obviously, he's not playing a ton of minutes right now, but he's the X factor. So him playing confident, I feel like helps this team play more confident. You could argue that he's kind of the heart and soul of this team. So it's nice for Dame to get going and be able to rest, which we saw in this game. And it's nice for Nurkic to be playing confident and playing well. We also saw that.
Yeah, I think, confident Nurk is, for lack of a better term, a beast. So you want to get him involved. And we've been saying that that's one of the things that we maybe could improve on when he's having good games, is just force feeding him a little bit, giving him more touches, letting him just dominate the game and put a game away with his sheer strength and stuff like that, especially against some of the weaker centers. Now, Pirtle isn't bad defensively. He's actually a decent defender, but I like my chances with Nurk going one-on-one in the post with him, especially when he's made a couple or gotten a couple putbacks or something to get his confidence up, like you said. So, yeah, I think that's something that I mentioned last night against Anthony Davis. Someone like that, maybe even get a guy like that into foul trouble if he is trying to block a shot or whatever. But I definitely think we can take advantage of Nurk in the post and use that to run some plays from him passing through the post as well. But I really like the different things we can do from that.
Yep. Next donation is from Gordon, 2.98 Singapore dollars. He says, strange evening for Blazers Twitter, to say the least. I want to avoid talking about Blazers Twitter in this stream. Let me just say that. Shout out Apples, $3 Australian donation, said, what is our defensive rating the last 10 games? Do you know, Eric?
I don't know specifically for 10 games. I know we were somewhere 10 to 15-ish for the last 15 games or 15 days. So, yeah, it should be right around there. And I also know that our starting lineup when they play together is showing pretty good defensive rating numbers.
Yeah, they're playing better defensively. Shout out Brandon G for a $5 dono. He says, I am bringing the Kool-Aid to my lips and taking a very small, polite sip. Yeah, so Brandon G is Brandon Goldner, by the way, if any of you don't know. Good old Brandon Goldner, man. Appreciate the donation. It's just fun. Okay, it's funny to me how people that say that, it's a miracle if we play well when we're injured, then when we beat other teams that are injured, it's not kind of the same narrative, it's some big accomplishment. I mean, the Blazers are playing well right now, but the quality of opponents they're generally beaten aren't something to read too much into. It's still 100% wait and see mode for me on this team. They beat the Grizzlies after losing to them twice. That was a good one. That kind of kickstarted the run they're on. They then beat the Nets, who are missing KD and James Harden. They blew out the Indiana Pacers, missing Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis, and TJ Warren. After that, you head into May. They beat a Celtics team. Pretty good win. That's a 10-point win there. They then lose to the Hawks. Then they beat the Cavs. They beat the Lakers without LeBron and Dennis Schroeder, and they only beat them by 5. And then they beat the San Antonio Spurs, which are not like a top 8 playoff caliber team. So, yeah, they're winning some games, but we had a 6-game winning streak earlier this season. What happened after that? We lost against bad teams. So for me, it's not something where, oh, well, look, we won 7 out of 8. See, Stoss is a good coach. This team's ready for playoffs, yada, yada. It's still 100% wait and see mode. There's very encouraging signs right now. Very encouraging signs. A little better ball movement. Defensively, they're being a little bit more aggressive. So things that we said we needed to see and that would help us, now some of those things I think are occurring out there on the floor. If anything, we should be sipping the Kool-Aid for that. But in general, it's still kind of wait and see mode. There's encouraging things. It's encouraging that we've won 7 out of 8. It's encouraging that we are on pace for the 6th seed, but it's not something where I'm sitting here thinking, oh yeah, it's like we're ready to contend. We're going to win in the first round. I'm not making conclusions based off this because we've had stretches like this so far this season, and then we've had bad stretches as well, and it's just been a roller coaster ride. Right now we're on the upswing, okay? But it's not done. It's not done.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for Brandon, but I'm pretty sure in this instance it doesn't mean anything about like who's right or who's wrong or what, any of that kind of stuff. Sipping the Kool-Aid is simply you're buying into what's happening, and I definitely don't blame anyone for buying in right now. Watching this team blow out teams and play, better than they have at any point in this season. So it's definitely encouraging to see them play well. You blow out a team like the Spurs. You blew them out, so that's good. Yeah, it's not like blowing them out by more gives you another W or anything like that. So, it's good to see. But Tori and I have been very consistent with this all year. For us, this team needs to do certain things in the playoffs, and they have to make adjustments during a series. They have to change some of their game plans within a game to maybe win a game or not blow a game that they have a lead in the playoffs. And until I see that happening in the playoffs, I'm still, much like you, I'm just going to take a wait and see attitude. Definitely much happier talking about the team winning 7 of 8 than if they than a couple weeks ago when we were talking about them losing 5 in a row and blowing a chance they had to maybe even sneak up into home court advantage maybe. But overall, I don't blame anyone for sipping the Kool-Aid right now.
I guess I misinterpreted his Kool-Aid sip. He clarifies it saying he means it as he has hope when he had none before. And that's a lot of people. That's kind of the case for me, I guess. But I just thought you were saying it as in a I told you so type of way. If it's just you having more hope, I'm right there with you, and I agree with that. This team is showing signs of life. This team is showing signs of fight now, where there were so many games before this stretch, when they lost the 10 out of 13, where a lot of those games, they're just not even showing signs of fight, or they're waiting until 5 minutes left and they're down 20 to show signs of fight. You know what I mean? And it's just too far and few between. I just butchered that saying, but
I know what you said.
Yeah. So encouraging signs. Nurkic playing well. Nurkic playing confident. Dame back to himself, looking fresher, getting some rest. Hopefully going to avoid the play-in when it looked like we were going to be in it before this last 8-game stretch. Yeah, there's definitely signs of encouragement.
Kind of got lucky with LeBron getting re-injured, I guess. If that really helped us with the Lakers moving from possibly being 5th down to 7th. But yeah, it's I look at it like I'm encouraged that they're starting to play better, and this is definitely the time you want to be playing your best ball versus a few months ago, and then have your downswing right now heading into the playoffs. So that's also encouraging. Sometimes I look back and think like man, if they just had this kind of focus for 48 minutes or as close to that as they have been showing in this 8-game stretch, uh, like they could have easily won a few more games. In some of those games they blew, and we're saying like they got outworked and they just didn't bring it for 48 minutes. We heard that several times a game, and sometimes it's just as simple as trying to figure out how to bring that energy from the beginning of games. And I'm glad they're starting to figure it out. And because like honestly, if we would have lost a playoff series because we looked disinterested or like we did a couple weeks ago, and it seemed like the whole team was falling apart, and we just went into the playoffs like that, that would have been just miserable to watch and stuff like that. So kudos to whatever happened behind the scenes to get this team back focused and into playing well. But yeah, it's hard to argue with the fact that Dame and Nurk play well and we play well. So there's not really a lot of other things going on throughout the game other than the effort thing.
Yeah. And I mean, this team has a ton of talent, and I've said that all season long. This team has a ton of talent on it. They could play a bad style of basketball and still potentially win some games just simply due to talent. You know what I mean? You look at things tonight. CJ played well, Nurkic played well, Dame played well. When those three are playing well, it's like we can run iso ball and we can maybe play conservative defense and give up 120 points and we can still win if Nurkic, Dame, and CJ and Norman Powell all play well offensively. Like, we have the ability to just outscore teams. The problem is it gets harder and harder and harder to do that, so we need to see some defensive improvement. We've seen some of it, but it's just kind of a situation where I'm looking at a game like this and flat out we had the more talented team tonight. Bar none. I mean, they got DeMar DeRozan. Their second best player is DeJounte Murray. They got Keldon Johnson, Jakob Poeltl. We're out here. We got Nurkic. We got CJ. We got Dame. We got Norman Powell. We got Rocco. Like, I love this roster. And if individuals play well, if guys make shots, and we shoot... we didn't even shoot that well from three, but we were able to get to the free throw line a lot in this game. We ended up shooting 30 free throws. We were able to score inside the paint. This team can simply outscore teams. So, it's not a situation where I think due to their style play, they have no chance of winning in the first round, because I think they have the talent to win in the first round that can overcome that. The thing is, I just want to give ourselves the best chance to win in the playoffs, and that includes combining our talent with a productive style of play. So that's kind of just been the narrative all season long.
Absolutely.
So anyway, next donation, Shaggy Squid, $20 Australian donation, says, just want to give a shout out to Eric. We had a disagreement/debate yesterday on Twitter that got heated, but afterwards he reached out to me to make sure we were good. You don't see that much these days. Respect, 100 emoji. That's good, because I didn't see you in the stream afterwards. Basically, it's just a situation like, for me, it's hard to balance Twitter and a bunch of people like asking questions or having conversations in, like, I don't know. It's hard to like balance that with also paying attention to the game. So honestly, that's just what that seemed like it was about to me. But I don't know. Your thoughts on Mr. Squid, Eric?
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Shaggy Squid. Definitely a bit of a misunderstanding. I just wanted to talk about, because he's usually in the streams, right? And he's been very generous with donations and stuff like that throughout the year. So I wanted to like pause it and pick it up in the stream. Maybe he wasn't able to make last night's until I think he was in here towards the end. But so I wanted to have that discussion in a more suitable way where we can actually break it down and talk about it and have a little back and forth. That wasn't while we were trying to watch the game and stay focused on that. So that was all I meant by that, and I told him that, and so I'm glad we worked it out and stuff.
Yep. And if you ask me on Twitter how the game is going, I'm not likely going to respond. I had like 5 people ask me today, how's the game going? It's like, I assume they're not watching it if they're asking me how it's going, but it's like I'm doing a whole post-game show talking about how the game went afterwards, you know what I mean? And it's hard to, like, what, am I going to give a full breakdown on everything happening every time I get asked that? No, I'm trying to pay attention to the game, and I'm trying to interact with you guys on Twitter as well. I do try and interact with you, but If I don't respond to you on something on Twitter during a game, don't take it personally at all. Trying to watch the game, trying to break things down. A lot of times I'm trying to just actively watch because there are games, and tonight it was kind of a situation where I was browsing Twitter as much as I was watching the game. But like, there are other games where I'm like trying to watch how CJ's defending off ball, and I'm trying to recognize what sets teams are running, and I'm trying to like actively watch. So, people are generally seem pretty good and understanding if I don't like respond to stuff they tweet at me or DMs or whatnot during the game. But yeah, if just don't take it personally like that. We'll be more than happy to respond to you on the post-game show or after the game.
Mm-hmm.
Mac Mall says, "Hey Tori, how did the game go? Just curious." Well, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, to break things down. So, what did you think about style of play in this one? Do you have any thoughts on style of play in this one? Was it just a game where we had more talent and we had our talent perform well, or was it something more?
Yeah, I mean, we struggled early in this game. Obviously, we shot the ball very poorly. Got to the free throw line a few times in that stretch and kind of saved us. And then Powell hit a three to kind of lift the lid off the basket, break the saran wrap that was over it. And the rest of the game was pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. There's times still in our second unit where I get a little frustrated with people going one-on-one, but it didn't really stand out to me tonight as too bad at any point, other than when CJ had that beautiful move to break someone down, and then of course the next two plays he's got to do all this fancy stuff, but he made all his shots in that stretch, so it's hard to like say that's wrong or anything. Like, just give it to him. We're up big anyway, so what did it matter? But yeah, so no real nitpicking. And I want to get to this comment real quick. Go ahead. Oh, no, I already found it. Landon Cottrell says, "What do you think of our improved assist numbers?" It's kind of about this. So we went from 20.7 assists per game before the All-Star break to 24.3 post-All-Star break.
Okay.
And for me, because it's been a problem whenever you say, like, the Blazers are by far last in assists or whatever. And, we've been struggling to be around that 20 assist range for most of the last two seasons, especially. But people think, like, oh, well, look at the team that's number one in assists. They're the Charlotte Hornets. They're not the best team in the league. So assists obviously don't correlate. And it's not about being first or last. It's about just being like somewhat average. And I've always felt if we were in that 24 to maybe 27 assist range, that would be a lot more beneficial for this team. It would mean that we were moving the ball and not just standing around. And so, yeah, it's encouraging that it's going up.
Well,
I mean, go ahead.
It's just as simple as they need to get the highest quality shots possible. They maximize their chances for having good offense if they get the highest quality shots. And there's a number of possessions where you can see the Blazers like fail to make the extra pass and settle for a okay shot when they could get a really good shot. They're going to make really good shots more than they're going to make just okay shots in terms of shot selection. So, I mean, you look at us utilizing Nurkic and Dame off the ball, right? The easiest shots Dame gets is when he's being fed by Nurkic on some sort of back cut or some sort of catch and shoot where he's off the ball. If he's just isolating, he's driving against a guy and having a second guy come over and help him, and he's having to corkscrew and deal with contact and all that type of stuff instead of potentially getting open, laying off a pass from Nurkic, right? The pass from Nurkic results in an assist. Dame going one-on-one, getting to the rim, doesn't, There's stats out there that say that assists don't correlate with winning, yada, yada, whatever. But there's multiple times where the Blazers aren't getting good shots because they're not moving the ball, or they could get a better shot if they made the right extra pass or the right feed. And that's all I want, If they could get great shots every time down the floor without passing, I wouldn't be asking for them to pass the ball, Eric. I wouldn't. It's all about just getting the highest quality shots possible. That's it.
Yep, and that's why using Nurk in those situations is such an advantage. And something that early in the season we weren't seemingly taking advantage of, but it seems to be better now. And of course, Nurk plays better when he's involved, so I think that's something that if for some reason, especially in the playoffs, and against a good defensive team, if we match up with the Clippers, if we are not utilizing Nurk's passing ability and we are not playing through him and we go back to just straight ISO ball, that's just I think that's inexcusable. So hopefully we see this continue and build upon it versus once the going gets tough and we play a really good defense, just go completely away from it and rely on those tough shots, like you said, to go in versus moving the ball to get easy layups every once in a while.
Yep. And here's the thing. It's like the Blazers without Nurkic still struggle to move the ball more than they should. You look at the bench lineup with like Mellow, Cantor, Simons in there, CJ. It's so ISO heavy. And Nurkic, yes, he's a good passing center, and he is able to play make. And yes, that helps to be able to get Dame easier shots. You know, I'm not downplaying Nurkic's playmaking, but it's almost like we have to have a great passing center, or else we're just insanely ISO heavy. And that still is the case. That still is the case. So, and that's one of my biggest issues. We've seen Mellow have stretches. He had a stretch this year. He had 5 to 6 assists in 3 straight games. Mellow's a smart passer. You could use him to make a simple feed to Anthony Simons coming off a screen for a 3-point shot instead of having to ISO into one, or CJ, or whatnot. You could have these guys make basic passes and run more movement and get higher quality shots with the bench lineup. Okay? But it's almost like we have to have a Mason Plumlee or a Yusuf Nurkic type of playmaking center in order to just not be the most ISO heavy offense in the league. And that's still a complaint I have mine. Yes, it's encouraging with the starting lineup. We're moving the ball more, we're moving players more. Nurkic helps with that, and there's a correlation there. And then Nurkic comes out of the game, and it's just ISO, ISO, ISO. So that's still an issue I have going into the playoffs. Hopefully it doesn't matter as much because I'm expecting Nurkic to play more minutes. The starters are going to play more minutes. It's just frustrating because we'll see, like, Nurkic will throw some passes that Cantor can't, but Dame will get open in situations off the ball, and Nurkic will hit him with a pass that Cantor could easily hit him with, and Dame will get a good shot. And then it's like we don't run the same thing for CJ or Anthony in the bench lineup, and instead they're just isolating, running off pick and roll, shooting contested threes off the dribble, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, there's several times where Cantor, it stands out a lot more once Nurk's made it several times. But Cantor's standing at the top of the key, like almost looking for that backdoor cut, and no one cuts. They just come back to get the handoff again. But one thing to keep in mind is if you watch how teams, especially during this stretch where we played well, are defending the pick and roll, they're not blitzing very often or selling out to take Dame out. And that's going to be completely different when we play maybe even the last 3 games of the season, if they're meaningful for both teams. But into the playoffs, those are going to be changes that other teams make in a 7-game series. It might work for a little bit at the beginning of a game, but then at halftime, if they're struggling to take Dame out of a game or Dame's going off, they're going to blitz him in the second half and completely take him out of games. And this is going to be the key to seeing if this offense has changed at all since the Pelican series, because up until this point, I don't feel like it has enough to warrant me not wondering what the hell they work on or try to fix to make it not a disadvantage when teams trap Dame. So I really want them to be able to run the offense in a different way. Run Dame off ball. Run it through Nurk. Run it through like Mellow and Cantor. Do different things to get them involved in the passing game instead of just like, oh, no one's passing. Let's just post up Mellow and let's just hope that Cantor gets an offensive rebound when we take a bad shot. Because those kind of things do not really bode well for success in the playoffs. You can get lucky, and like we always say, we have great ISO scorers, so they can shoot yourself into a win or shoot yourself out of a win. But I just don't like to rely on that. Why not try to get them the best shots possible? And yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if this is just a product of playing teams that are kind of just up against the end of the season and not really caring too much about locked-in game plans, or if it's a case where we've really turned a corner. I'm not going to believe the latter until I see it in the playoffs, but
Yep.
It's definitely something to watch.
Yeah, and that's why, as I said, I'm still in wait and see mode on things. Yep. I was going to bring that point up anyway. But yeah, we've seen the offense do on the regular season and struggle in the playoffs. So we could move the ball beautifully over our final 4 games. It's still not going to sway me at all, because I need to see what type of offense we run in the playoffs. That's what matters to me. Shout Shaggy Squid, another donation. This one's a $5 Australian donation. He says, Pacers are falling apart. Would you be opposed to CJ Rocco and picks for Sabonis and Brogdon if it became a realistic possibility? It works financially. And I don't see why that makes any sense for us. Sabonis next to Nurkic is about as bad of a fit as you can get, because Sabonis is a 5 naturally, and Nurkic is a 5, and Sabonis at the 4 is going to be a terrible defender, and Nurkic at the 4 is going to be probably a bad defender, where he's a good defender at the 5. And then Sabonis isn't much of a 3-point shooter. Your spacing gets worse. Like, you have a third bad defender in the starting lineup. Well, you trade CJ for Brogdon. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Sabonis' playmaking at the center spot is impressive, but you got Nurkic's playmaking at the center spot, so it's kind of like you don't need 2 really good playmaking bigs. It kind of defeats the purpose. Like, I don't know. It's just Sabonis next to Nurkic makes no sense. Brogdon would be interesting I would love Brogdon as a third guard. I think he's like the perfect third guard for us. But I also don't want to swap CJ for him. It just doesn't really make sense from a cohesion standpoint.
Yeah, then you also have to wonder why the Pacers would do that, or if they could get a better package dealing those guys separately. Mm-hmm. But Brogdon and Sabonis are 2 guys that I've always liked. And I guess if we're breaking up the Dame and CJ backcourt and have better defenders at the 2 through 4 positions, it wouldn't necessarily be awful to have Sabonis as our starting center. But I guess I understand the injury concerns with Nurk, but I still think a healthy Nurk takes this team to a level on both ends of the court that Sabonis wouldn't be able to. And, I mean, obviously, offensively, he would probably be better than Nurk, or definitely would be better than Nurk. But I don't think we necessarily need to be that much better offensively outside of just having better game plans and getting better shots. So that's not necessarily something that he would increase the ceiling of this team. But yeah, I could see the Pacers blowing it up. I just don't know. Because when they're healthy, I mean, Turner is a good defensive center, and he has trouble playing with Sabonis. And that's one of the reasons why you always hear rumors about them shopping Turner, is because they constantly have issues with them playing together. It's the same reason why Denver traded Nurkic to us, because it just was apparent that Jokic and Nurkic could not be on the floor at the same time. And if you're playing Jokic 30-plus minutes a game, that doesn't leave enough time for a good center to back him up. So I don't mind exploring those type of trades. I just I don't know if getting a guard and a center back in those situations is the best trade scenario for CJ, considering if you trade CJ, the theory is you'd re-sign Norm and you still have Nurkic. So we need more of an upgrade at the 3 or the 4 if we're going to trade CJ, in my opinion. And those possibilities are pretty scarce, but I wouldn't trade CJ unless we got a player at least as good as him at one of those 2 positions, in my opinion.
Yeah. I kind of didn't really hear the last part because I just got one of the weirdest comments ever. Yeah. Just hid that account instantly. What? Yeah, I don't understand going out and getting center when you have Nurkic. I don't understand getting a second Nurkic. I would rather have Rocco at the 4 next to Nurkic instead of like another Nurkic next to Nurkic. Nurkic is better than Rocco, but Rocco is a much better fit there. You need 4 legitimate shooters on the court in today's NBA. And at the 4, you want a guy that can guard wings and forwards. And Morocco can do that. So that's my thoughts on that in terms of trades. Indiana they need to make a splash or they need to blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
When our mock offseason comes along, that might be the number 1 team I want to be. Because they need to go into this offseason trying to make a splash move, and if they can't do that, then they should probably reset. And Sabonis is young enough you can keep him. But shop LeVert, shop Brogdon, shop Warren, shop Turner. They got some pieces that they could get a lot back for. I don't think it'll be a situation where it's like they trade Sabonis for CJ, you know what I mean? That's not upgrading anything. They need to go out and get a second star to play next to Sabonis. And then you use Miles Turner and maybe LeVert. I don't know. They need to find a way to do that. It's not likely, and it's going to be hard for them to do that. But they either need to pair a second star with Sabonis or kind of reset. Trading Sabonis for CJ doesn't do either for them. It doesn't make much sense.
At the same time, though, I mean, Oladipo didn't really give them much when he was still there. Then they trade for LeVert, and he has the kidney tumor, so, he misses most of the season, and when he comes back, he's been out for most of the year and isn't really good. And then Warren's missed the whole year. Turner's missed several games. Sabonis has missed several games. Brogdon has been... so they haven't even played with their normal team the entire season. So... I don't know, once if they could just get Warren back and Sabonis is healthy, and I think they should maybe move Turner like they've been trying. They should have pulled the trigger on one of those trades and maybe would have had some assets for a big trade down the line. But it's hard for me to just totally give up on that if I'm in charge of the Pacers. It's our old GM Kevin Pritchard there, and Chad Buchanan's the lead scout. So it's I'd have a tough time because unlike us last year, we still had Dame and CJ for most of the year. We still had Whiteside play most of the year. Mellow, other than tonight, is pretty durable the last 2 years in terms of not missing games. It's I don't know if Bjorkgren's going to be a one and done. It's kind of looking like he might be because they didn't vet him very well before hiring him. But it's just a case of I don't know if I would blow that up. I do think there is a bit of an injury excuse there.
Blowing up doesn't necessarily mean trading Sabonis. It's just how are they going to be able to contend? Because their roster right now is not going to get it done. It's a underrated roster, and if they're healthy, maybe they're the 4 or 5, 6, but they're not beating Philadelphia. They're not beating Milwaukee. They're not beating Brooklyn. So how are they going to get to the point where they contend? They either need to make a splash or they need to reset and maybe be a loud team for a couple years. You could maybe keep Sabonis and do that, but cash in on TJ Warren, cash in on Malcolm Brogdon, cash in on Miles Turner, and then hope you get some lottery luck and find a star that way. Either way, they got to pair a second star next to Sabonis, and trading Sabonis for CJ isn't going to do that. If there was a team to be interested in CJ, it would be them, though. But it would be to pair him next to Sabonis, thinking that CJ could be a 26-5 guy.
I heard some Pelicans people saying that there could be some interest there in CJ.
In New Orleans?
Yeah, but they're wanting him to pair him with
they're not going to trade Ingram for him.
And Brandon Ingram. So it's not
what are you going to go out and get Eric Bledsoe, Lonzo Ball, and a sign and trade? No. The only guy that interested me there is Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, I was trying to think of three-way trades like the Siakam example, because if they're trading Siakam, they're not going to want CJ, so it'd probably be like a three-team trade. So I was trying to think of an example where, uh, CJ went to New Orleans and then like, Jackson Hayes and picks or something went to another team, and then like, we got someone back from a third team, but it's kind of hard because there's not a lot of wings in that um, like 10 to 20-ish $1 million contract range that are truly better than what CJ gives us or would be worth taking on like an Eric Bledsoe's contract, because he'd probably have to be part of that trade as well.
Yeah, the only guy that I could see potentially being a chance that I would trade CJ for is Chris Middleton. That's the only guy I can see being a chance. But we will. I mean, we're kind of getting sidetracked. The donations brought it to trade talk, but we will obviously have a bunch of hypotheticals covered this offseason as we get into kind of the swing of things there.
Well, Gabe says any Sun players y'all would take a slide for us.
We will
CJ? Gladly take. Not for CJ, but we will gladly take Mikal Bridges for nothing. Yes, thank you.
Mikal Bridges for Enes Cantor. You guys said you needed a backup center. We need a starting three right now. Or, I don't know. See, like with Norman, it makes things a little bit more interesting. But Mikal Bridges is the guy like off the Suns. Otherwise, I don't know. Cam Johnson, maybe? I don't know. Cam Johnson could replace the Mellow three-point shooter role off the bench. Other than that, I can't really think of anyone. But Dro, $5 dono, says, Rocco does everything in silence. True gangster. His off-ball defense is so underrated. He is a player every team needs. And I feel like Blazers fans appreciated that about him more so before he came a Blazer. Like, that's what people said about him. It's like, oh, he does all the little things that matter, and his off-ball defense is so good, and we don't have that, yada, yada. And since he's become a Blazer, it's almost like people appreciate that less. It's kind of strange to me. Do you feel that way? Some people appreciate that less, Eric.
Here's what happens with Rocco, and the same thing's happening, or has happened since he doesn't play anymore, with Derek Jones. When you look at the positional versatility charts, it is off the charts in terms of among the most versatile in the NBA when it comes to Derek Jones and Norman Powell. I think Jones is in danger of falling to a low enough minutes to where he doesn't qualify to be on the graph anymore. But these guys were in a position where they are asked to do like more on defense than any other players in the league. And it's not just as simple as guarding the best player on the other team or whatever. They basically have to be our entire perimeter defense and have to switch off every time, Dame or CJ's guy comes up to the top. And they also have to, they're forwards. So if the other team has good forwards, in addition to being good, having good perimeter players, they also have to, guard the bigs like an Anthony Davis last game. So these guys have to switch between guarding point guards to power forwards and everything in between. And it's just the amount of. This is why I've never liked our defensive scheme. We put so much pressure on our small forward and our power forward to have to be our whole defense. And that's why it makes such a difference having a decent center back there. But that's why I always want our schemes to be different depending on our personnel, because I feel like we just put our defenders in such a tough position to succeed night in and night out. And that's why you see a guy like Rocco, and it looks, when you're watching the team every night, like he's a bad defender all of a sudden, when he's actually, by most metrics, has been a really good defender this year, plus has guarded 4 different positions, actually 5 positions in Rocco's case. And like, that's really tough to find guys like that who are good enough to guard that many different positions. And you can argue about his on-ball versus off-ball defense all you want, but the fact is he should be a positive defender that has an influence on a good scheme defense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, off-ball defense is truly underrated by most fans. So, I don't know. I feel like he's become a little bit underrated as a defender, believe it or not. Because people will see... Like, people want the guys like, oh, we're going to throw him against LeBron. He's going to shut down LeBron. Because, A, it's obvious to see when it happens, and B, it's like the whole idea of, like, mano-y-mano, Rocco versus LeBron, right? So that gets appreciated more than like, oh yeah, Rocco made a really nice help side rotation, took away what could have been a quality shot, and it kind of shut down the possession, and they ended up having to jack up a bad shot, getting close to the shot clock buzzer. There's no like glory in that. That's not a 1v1 battle between two guys or anything like that, and that's kind of, Rocco making a good rotation isn't necessarily easy for people to notice. So I feel like he's become underrated as a defender since he's gotten here because people don't see it. Like his impact isn't as obvious, but it's still there, and it's just not the flashy 1v1 lockdown type of guy. It's kind of a different style of effective defender, essentially.
I also feel like if he was like shooting better right now, like people would think his defense was better. You know what I mean? Like he misses a shot and everyone's like, "Oh, Rocco's trash" or whatever. But
what
it's
did people expect
totally
him to shoot
based
from
on their 3-point shoot.
What did people expect him to shoot from three? He's a career 36% 3-point shooter. He's shooting 38%.
Yeah, I mean he went like he was ice cold to start the season, and then he was red hot, and now he's hopefully not going back into a cold streak. But yeah, he's always been a streaky shooter, and I mean, yeah, it's 38% is better than what we could have imagined, in my opinion.
In his 15 games in March, he had a true shooting percentage of over 70%. His 3-point percentage started in January. December, it was 4 games. He shot 19%. January, 12 games, 30%. February, 14 games, 37%. March, 15 games, 51%. April, 16 games, 35%. May, in 4 games before this one, was at 40%. It's going to go down. He didn't necessarily shoot the best today, but yeah, so the month of March was insane, dude. But like that's not going to be a consistent thing. And I told you guys, like month to month, he kind of bounces around. He's genuinely been a better 3-point shooter than normal for his standards, though, on the season. It's just like it's being carried by one singular month.
Good night, Sotvik.
See a Sotvik.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like people expect us to have like all-stars at every position sometimes, and it's just like you need guys like Rocco, in my opinion, to be a good team. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was happy we traded for him. I was kind of upset because I really liked a particular player that was available for us at the 16th pick, who I thought would have been a good fit for us. But I also recognize that he probably wouldn't have played, so it wouldn't have mattered at all this year. But yeah, so I don't know. He's better than Amina was. He's better than Harkless was. He's better probably than it's hard to tell because Ariza only played 20 games last year, and he did very well in those 20 games, in my opinion. But he's getting up there in age and stuff. So at this point, I'd probably take Rocco over Ariza as well, and especially going into the season when Ariza was kind of a question mark whether he'd play or not. So I don't think like trading Ariza in the trade was like bad or anything. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. So like it's an obvious upgrade in a 3-and-D wing that we need. We have the ISO scorers. We have the people who can get buckets. I just don't really understand what people want sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you got Rocco, and then you got Dame, a superstar. CJ was having an all-star season before he got hurt, right? And is basically all-star caliber for all, his deficiencies. I think he's improved his playmaking this year. I think he's improved his defense this year. And he's given you almost 23 points per game and almost 5 assists per game. And he's in 34 minutes a game. It's not like he's playing 36 and a half. You know what I mean? If he's playing 36 minutes a game, he could be giving you 24 points per game and 5 assists flat. So, like, that's all-star caliber numbers. And he's doing it relatively efficiently. True shooting percentage, 57%. Second highest season so far of his career. He's shooting 51% from 2 and 39% from 3 and 82% from the free throw line, which he had a kind of down season last year where he shot 76%. But he's an all-star caliber player, right? You put him on his own team in the Eastern Conference, he's making the all-star game if he's healthy. He's giving you 27 and 6 if he's on his own team in the Eastern Conference. So he is an all-star caliber player. You see what Nurkic does tonight in 21 minutes, has 17 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Okay? Nurkic, when he's on his game, I think has as big of an impact as some all-star caliber big men, because his playmaking is elite for a center, his passing is elite for a center, his rebounding is maybe elite for a center as well. He's getting like 13 rebounds per 36 right now. Scoring-wise, he's slowly like adding his three-point shot. I think he's shooting, 38% from 3 so far this year. Now he's only shooting 1 3 a game, but he's shooting 39% actually from 3. And he's finishing solidly right now. He's finishing solidly. I mean, Nurkic has an all-star caliber impact as well. I know he hasn't made an all-star game, and people will kind of use that against him. But you got a superstar in Dame. You got 2 all-star caliber players when they're on in Nurkic and CJ. And then you have a guy giving you 19 points per game that can defend in Norman Powell. And then you got Rocco. Like, that starting lineup, for all you want to say about, 1 through 3, they're undersized, yada, yada. The talent in that starting lineup is just, I still think it's underrated by most Blazer fans. I still just think that's a phenomenal starting lineup talent-wise.
And, okay, so this is like an actual question, Brandon. Like, I'm not trying to start something, but he says Rocco is part of a starting lineup in 280 minutes, is among the best defensive lineups in the NBA. Part of that is Nurk, maybe part of that is Powell, but Rocco is a huge part of that. But I seem to recall you and several other people saying that, it's kind of near impossible to have a good defense with Dame and CJ. And then you start Norm at the 3 and you have the small lineup, and that's what's making us bad defensively. So I just want to ask how, starting the 3 guards, we still have Dame and CJ, how we're having a good defense if CJ and Dame backcourt is the problem that we'll never overcome. Like, how is that possible between the 2? Okay.
Yeah, like what changed, That's kind of the
I respect that, Brandon. That's a good that's a good answer. Okay.
Respectable. I mean, this team has had a good defense with Dame and CJ before, It's like people were like trying to say, Stastos had a coach defense. They were 9th one year. But then they kind of blame the Dame and CJ backcourt. I'm not saying this is Brandon. I'm just saying I've seen this from other people. Mm-hmm. And then they'll blame the Dame and CJ backcourt while saying that the Dame and CJ backcourt was 9th. And that's like good for stats. It's like, okay, well, if the Dame and CJ backcourt isn't, if you can't have a good defense with them, then how are they 9th? But you're using the 9th ranked defense to kind of support stats at the same time. I have never really understood that with some people. So, I mean, if you have good help defense behind them, it kind of negates their deficiencies on the perimeter. And I don't think Dame and CJ are as bad defensively as people ask. Dame is one of the reasons why the defense is better lately. He has stepped up on defense, okay, intensity-wise. Now, we have to figure out a way to get him playing average defense for the entirety of a season. A couple years ago, I think he kind of had an average defensive season. This year, he was bad. Was definitely very, very bad until recently. But then it's like, recently, I think he's been solid. He's been average. CJ, up until this year, was very bad defensively. This year, I think he's been average, maybe slightly below average, but I think he's improved. A lot of it is just he's playing more aware off the ball defensively. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason that they can't be average defenders. Like, Dame for a point guard isn't undersized. Everybody says 2 undersized guards. Well, Dame for a point guard isn't undersized. He's 6'2". That's pretty average, right? CJ for a shooting guard is a little bit undersized, but the NBA is going a little bit smaller. The shooting guard position is getting a little bit smaller. I mean, you look at the shooting guards in the Western Conference, that are starting for Western Conference playoff teams, are they really going to exploit a matchup against CJ because CJ's 6'3" instead of 6'5"? Is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope going to exploit that size difference? Is Donovan Mitchell, who's 6'3" himself, going to have a size advantage? No. Who are the Suns starting to? They're starting Devin Booker. Yeah, maybe Devin Booker is able to get some shots up over CJ, but I mean, if you live with him shooting contested jumpers, right? If CJ's able to contest them, that's probably not the best shot they could possibly get. But that's one guy that gives you problems, right? Kind of like Clay. But other than that, I mean, Jamal Murray's 6'4", right? He's not really...
Well, he's not in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, he's not even in the playoffs, but if he is healthy, he's 6'4". I mean...
You are forgetting the one team we're likely to play, though.
The Clippers. The Clippers is a problem, but like even if CJ was 6'5" and an average shooting guard height, they're playing like Paul George at the 2's 6'9".
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like that doesn't even make a difference.
And George isn't like posting him up a lot. He's more pick and roll heavy. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like we talked about this last night where a guy like Anthony Davis, if you're not going to send a double team, I mean, just stay in front of the guy and make him make a tough turnaround shot. And that's not CJ's fault for being short. That's just like us not being aggressive with our defensive plans. So I still feel like when Clay's posting up Dame in the playoffs and we're getting swept or whatever, like why don't we send a double team after him or something like teams do against Mellow when we post him up. But yeah, it's just like I don't know. It's like it's never gonna be like locked down, but I think it can be like 10th or so if they were playing with good schemes and stuff. And my problem has always been that we just expect better results from running the same defense against every team and in every situation, and I just wish we'd mix it up more.
Yeah, and Brandon says, I don't mind Dame slacking a little on defense because his offense is incandescent, and he has to do so much offensively that, like, I don't, like, he's probably gassed at times, and that's why he struggles defensively, just because he has to conserve so much energy for what he has to do on the offensive end. That's part of the reason why I wish we'd make things easier for him and have the offense work for him to get good shots instead of him having to work for shots himself. You know, I think that could help conserve some energy. But I just look at these two guys, like, there's no reason why they have to be a bad defensive backcourt. We've seen stretches where both have been average defenders. And, like, Dame is undersized for a point guard. As Brandon says, a solid wingspan. CJ's a little bit undersized for a shooting guard, but I feel like it doesn't translate to a huge difference like people act like it does.
One thing I've always been like intrigued by is when Dame plays good defense, it's when he's guarding a good player or when he's has a tough defensive matchup or takes it upon himself to want to slow down one of the opposing team's best players, even if they're a 6'10 Jason Tatum or whatever. And this has been my problem all along when you try to hide that or try to conserve that, I guess, out or like take that out of a player. When you constantly try to hide him or never let him at least fail before you try to hide him, you know, like it seems like he's a horrible defender, but like if all along we were saying, no, we need you to give maybe conserve some energy on offense by running off the ball a little bit. This is what happened with Steph Curry. So like, yes, maybe we don't have a Draymond and can't run the same things, but Steve Kerr, first thing he did, call Steph Curry, say, I am no longer going to just hide you on defense. You are going to be accountable. You are going to have to play defense, and you are going to have to step up on that end. And Steph Curry was like, yes, sir, like, I will do that. And I feel like if you just give an elite player like Dame that responsibility and make him accountable and say, like, look, Dame, you're going to guard, like, tonight, DeMar DeRozan or whatever. And I mean, it might not be the smartest thing to do that every game, but I feel like he would have that mindset by now of, I'm a good defender, I'm going to lock this guy down, I'm going to take it upon myself to stop him, versus oh, let me just stand in the corner. If my guy goes or cuts, I'll just push him off to someone else and then just pick up whoever comes to that area or whatever. And that's like, I feel like we do such a disservice to those players by making them be bad defenders or making them like not be a part of the defensive scheme and stuff like that and trying to cover for them. So I want a situation where like if this guy Dame wants to step up and be a good defender, like don't hold him back, like let him be that defender. And I think in some of those games he's actually been allowed to do that, and you can show how intense he gets on defense and how focused he is on that end. He is actually a good defender when he wants to be. So I would like to just have that all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like those two being paired in the backcourt it's just such an easy thing to blame all our defensive issues on. You know, oh, well, Dame and CJ, two undersized guards, not good defenders. Of course, our defense sucks. Of course, it's third worst in NBA's history. Like, that's such an easy thing that, like, you don't even have to, like, watch a game for that. You can just look at the stat sheet. Oh, well, people say Dame and CJ struggled offensively, and Dame's 6'2", and CJ's 6'3". Well, yeah, that's why the defense is going to suck. You know what I mean? But I feel like they've... Like, a lot of the blame is fair. You know, Dame this year has really struggled defensively. CJ's been Last season it was the opposite around. CJ really struggled and Dame was maybe a little below average, but not like bad. But it's just like they're not to blame for us being third worst in the NBA, and it's not like we can't have a good defense with them. So that's what I'm hoping going forward. I mean, you got a Rocco. You brought in Rocco for a reason. You got Nurkic back. You got Norman Powell, who's a good defender. People say he's undersized at the 3, but he has an 8'7" standing reach. So that's like pretty normal, maybe like an inch undersized, but not a big deal with the 3. So there's no reason we should have a bad defense, because we know Dame and CJ can be okay on that end, and we have 3 good defenders at the 3, 4, and 5. There's no reason we should be a below average defense, especially, third worst in NBA history. So that's why I didn't think it was personnel issues, and that's why I haven't thought it was personnel issues. And now we're seeing improvement. And it's like, if it was personnel and we were just incapable of playing good defense, we wouldn't be playing defense this well right now. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and Shane Hafner reminded me of something that I saw, is that Dame actually texts and sends film to his trainer throughout the season, and he often just texts back NGE, which means not good enough. And Dame's like, okay. So that's his cue to be like, dude, you need to step up and like, this is not acceptable. Like, you cannot play this way or whatever.
Why isn't he an assistant coach, man? Because didn't he work out with Nurkic too, like this past offseason? Didn't like Nurkic do some workouts with him? Like,
I don't know if it was this last season or the season before, but yeah.
Bring that guy in as an assistant coach, man. He has Dame's ear, you know what I mean? And pushes Dame to be better and holds Dame accountable. I wish one of our coaching staff guys was telling Dame that his defense is not good enough. But sometimes it feels like that's not happening. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to tell because, I mean, that's always been my thing is, like, okay, our personnel, even if you think our personnel sucks and they can never succeed, why would we continue running the same basic defensive schemes? Why would we not at least try, like, throwing everything with the kitchen sink at these teams and just, like, coming up with all sorts of wacky game plans if the current game plans aren't working? And honestly, I don't think any team can ever win running one defense against every team in the playoffs. So I feel like you have to be able to switch it up and do that kind of stuff anyway, especially if you're going to make the argument that this roster isn't as talented as other rosters. Well, then they need to do stuff schematically to bridge that gap just a little bit. And that's where I think the importance of coaching comes in, especially in the playoffs, where a good adjustment or a good decision by the coach to mix things up or to play a certain way versus just doing the same thing can really alter a series even if you're a little less talented than a team. But we just seem to like roll the ball out there and like, Dame, CJ, go play and win, and then we run our drop scheme and don't really pressure the ball or try to force turnovers or anything. And yeah, it's just frustrating to me that we just continue to put our players in that situation over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing though, their defense is better, but it hasn't come against like an elite team yet.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm waiting for. Like, you can look at Brooklyn, yes, record-wise they're an elite team, but they only had Kyrie. They didn't have James Harden. They didn't have Kevin Durant. And we still gave up 119 points in that game. Otherwise, you're talking about an average team in Memphis, a lottery team in Indiana at this point, and they were missing 3 of their best players. You're talking about Boston. No, we only gave up 109 to Brooklyn, excuse me. We gave up 119 to Boston, so that wasn't a good defensive game. 109 to Brooklyn, but they're missing KD and James Harden. Then we give up 123 to Atlanta, a good offensive team. That wasn't a good defensive game for us. Then we play Cleveland. Then we play Los Angeles without Schroeder and LeBron, and then we play San Antonio, which is a lottery team. You know what I mean? It's not coming against an elite team. So that's kind of where I'm in wait-and-see mode. We're going up against Phoenix second to last day of the season. Part of me is hoping, like, okay, they have it wrapped up, so maybe they rest their guys. And part of me wants to see us have a challenge like Phoenix, who has obliterated us offensively. I want to see if the defense is really improved, then we'll see it against a team like Phoenix, right? It's improved against mediocre to bad teams because we were struggling with any sort of team all season long, but I want to see it against an elite team. I want to see improvement on defense against an elite offense. And we haven't really seen that yet. So that's just where I'm waiting.
I think the key there, though, is someone who can exploit our pick and roll defense. And
yes,
in my opinion, the only truly, I mean, Tatum is pretty good, but he's like a forward who's not like a point forward like LeBron is or something. So out of the pick and roll, he's still good, but like not like a Trae Young quick or whatever. And the one team we played that had that guy in Trae Young, we gave up a ton of open threes off kickouts, and basically in the second half couldn't stop him either, even though we were kind of selling out to stop him. So
here's the thing with that Boston game too: they were missing Kemba, so they didn't even have their point guard that is good in the pick and roll.
So yeah, my thing is always dynamic pick and roll players are this team's kryptonite, and so we've gotten kind of lucky lately to not play too many of those, and I'm worried that when we do, it'll be right back to the same old defense. But for now, I'm not going to complain, and I'll give them a chance to show whether they can handle that or not before that happens.
Yep. I mean, you got Utah, right? Mitchell's back, right? Or is he still out?
Did he come back? Did he play tonight?
I'm not sure.
I don't think he played tonight.
I'm not sure. I was looking at Raptor stats for them. That's where I saw his name recently. I was thinking I saw him in a box score, but yeah, they might not have him back, and he's a guy that can give us fits in the pick and roll, especially if we drop. You know what I mean? And it's
Conley has to. In the past.
Yeah, Conley gives us fits too. So let me see. He might have rested today simply because they were playing the Houston Rockets, whose best player right now seems to be Kenyon Martin Jr., who had 27 and 10 tonight. They only won by 8. Donovan Mitchell didn't play, but they've still been.
Conley didn't play either.
Yeah, they've still been solid without Mitchell, though. I mean, Bogdanovich has 48 last night. I mean, that's a guy that people underrate, but. Yeah, it's just going to come down to pick and roll defense, and the pick and roll in general is kind of what decides playoff series for us. When teams trap our pick and roll, how do we respond? And then if we just drop off a guy like a Donovan Mitchell or a Kawhi Leonard or a Paul George or a Devin Booker or a Chris Paul, we're going to get lit up in the playoffs if we just run drop scheme on pick and roll. So that's what it comes down to in the playoffs is, are we going to be more aggressive at the point of attack? Are we going to make the right adjustments in terms of how we guard the pick and roll? And when we get trapped, do we have an answer? Are we exploiting it when teams trap us? Are we setting up the floor properly? That is the main key for the playoffs for this team, and it has been for years. This isn't something new. It has been for years. The pick and roll on both sides of the floor. You look at the Pelican series. When we ran pick and roll, we just got trapped to death, turned the ball over like crazy. When they ran pick and roll, they had success. The thing is, they were running off turnovers a lot of times, so they didn't even necessarily have to rely on that. You look at our run the year after, Oklahoma City didn't really trap us hard, and they had Steven Adams, who's one of the more mobile bigs in the entire NBA, and Dame goes off, right? And then the next round, it's Jokic, it's Millsap. They trap, but we had a guy like Rodney Hood step up. We had a guy like CJ McCollum step up in isolation. Our answer was kind of isolation, and we played extremely well in isolation in that series with guys like CJ and Rodney Hood. And we still barely won in 7 against an inexperienced Denver team that almost lost the first series to the San Antonio Spurs. They won that series in 7. So, yeah, that's what it comes down to. And that's why it's like when we play a team like the Spurs, who have DeMar DeRozan, and we can simply go under the screen on him because he doesn't shoot threes. It's like that doesn't really show me anything to be necessarily sure the good defense is promising, but it's not enough for me to like have a ton of confidence going into the playoffs.
Yeah, but at the same time, we have, at least 3 good defenders. I consider Norm an above average defender now, and he's got some championship experience. So maybe that's just enough to organically make it better. I don't like depending on that, but hopefully, as those guys play more and more together, that it's a little more locked in on defense, and you kind of limit. That's the other thing we haven't touched upon is the whole Cantor versus Mellow thing. I don't think you can read anything to it, either positive or negative, from Mellow missing this game, since, like you said, we were playing the Spurs, so it's not like we were playing a world beater or something, and we played our best game of the season without Mellow. But I don't know. To me, it's obvious in the playoffs they should extremely, extremely, extremely limit the amount of times that Cantor and Mellow are on the floor together, and certain lineups where they have those two with another bad defender maybe in the game, like CJ. So, like, I just wish there was a way to kind of counteract that and maybe play one of them for a little bit in the first quarter and then the other one in a little bit in the second quarter, or it doesn't matter which one. And I'm not saying you have to bench both or one of them, but like just try not to play them like 8-minute stretches together if you can avoid it.
Yeah. Right now, our most likely playoff opponent is the Los Angeles Clippers, right? Mm-hmm. So the situation is, and we'll keep talking about this every post-game show, of course, because we got 4 games left. Playoff positioning is what we're playing for right now. The Nuggets lose tonight. They're a game and a half behind the Clippers. They are 2 games back in the loss column, okay? PlayoffStats.com, I've been referencing a lot, gives the Clippers a 78% chance of being the 3 seed. It gives us a 66% chance of being a 6 seed and a 21% chance of getting a 5 seed. Good news. Only a 13% chance of being 7th. Right now, the Lakers have an 85% or an 83% chance of being 7th. So it looks like they're going to be.
To my ears.
Looks like they're going to be the playing team. They got a hard schedule. A somewhat hard schedule the rest of the way. We got Houston, and then maybe some teams resting guys, and we have the tiebreaker. We're a game and a half ahead of them. That's why that game was so huge against them. Right now, you can look on this website, playoffstats.com. I keep referencing it. That's if you guys want to check it out. Okay, it gives us a percentage chance of facing a team in the first round. And right now it says we have a 54% chance of facing the Clippers, a 29% chance of facing the Nuggets, a 10% chance of facing the Jazz, and a 10% chance of facing the Suns, and a 4% chance of facing the Jazz. So, according to them, it's more likely we play the Clippers compared to anybody else. Okay, Our pick and roll defense against Kawhi and Paul George, you can't drop against those guys. Those guys will pull up all day and crush you. And if you drop and give those guys a head of steam, they'll also slash right at the big men and finish because they have size as well and strength and know how to do that.
Gonna have to trap and trap hard.
Gonna have to trap. Gonna have to play up. Gonna have to take them out of the pick and roll. They lost to Denver kind of when they got ISO heavy and Kawhi and Paul George didn't really have a rhythm. That's why they choked that series against Denver. But if they're just able to get clean shots and build a rhythm off pick and roll because we're giving them space, they're going to eat us apart. So, I mean, going into the playoffs, if that's our opponent, we have to come out schematically or we're not going to stand a chance, in my opinion. We have to be right schematically defensively. And then they have the personnel to trap and give Dame fits. You don't want to be isolating Damian Lillard against Kawhi Leonard all series. You don't want to be isolating CJ McCollum against Paul George all series. If you run pick and roll, Ibaka's a mobile big. Zubac is underrated in terms of his mobility. They have the personnel to trap, and then you got like a guy like Paul George, a guy like Kawhi, a guy like Pat Beverly potentially playing the passing lanes behind that trap. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to do more than isolate and pick and roll to beat them on the offensive end. So if we face the Clippers, it's a terrible matchup for us for those reasons, because still haven't really seen that. Now, that's Stotts' final chance, basically. If he continues to run isolation and pick and roll, and we continue to give space on the pick and roll defensively, we're going to lose in 4 or 5 games. If he
and the
does
narrative will be that Dame sucks in the playoffs because he couldn't get a good shot off, and it'll be so frustrating to have to deal with that once again.
Exactly. So that's basically what we are on path for right now. The Nuggets losing tonight hurts. They almost beat the Brooklyn Nets. They lose by 6 late. They had a 6-point lead pretty late in this game. So the Nuggets losing makes it more likely they're going to be 4th instead of 3rd. I wanted them to win tonight. I wanted them to beat the Nets tonight. Because it could have come down to a situation where we're locked into 6th, and we could lose our last regular season game and help the Nuggets get the win to get them into the 3 seed instead of the 4th and give us that matchup. Because they don't have Jamal Murray. They're starting Campazzo and like Michael Porter Jr. at the 2. Okay? That's a much better matchup for us. They don't really have anybody that can exploit the pick and roll as a ball handler other than their center. So.
Well, it's so frustrating. I'm so mad at the Nets. They lose to Dallas. We need them to beat Dallas, and then they beat the Nuggets when we need them to lose.
Yeah,
should have been the opposite.
Yeah, the Nets screwed us over, man. But yeah, basically, if we face the Clippers, we're gonna have to move the ball. We're going to have to utilize Nurkic's playmaking in order to outscore them. Because Brandon says if the Blazers play the Clippers, they may just have to try and outscore them. That's what I'm worried about. It's like if we just run pick and roll into the trap like we have, and then the only thing we get out of that is turnovers or CJ or Dame isolating against Kawhi and PG, there's no chance we outscore them. No chance.
Also, the Clippers have Rondo, who will be calling out our plays before we even run them.
So yeah. That's
why you need new plays that he doesn't know yet.
Or just a good motion-based offense that's not completely set in stone or completely structured. You know what I mean? So that's why utilizing Nurkic is so important. That's why Nurkic is the X factor. That's why Nurkic has been the X factor. That's why I said that earlier this stream. So the Clippers, I mean, part of me wants to see the Clippers just to see if we finally wake up in the playoffs and play the right style of play, because we're going to have to. We're going to have to. And if not, then it's a quick exit and there's a coaching change.
Yeah. The problem is the 3-6 would be the 2-7. Because you would say, like, if we can somehow beat the Clippers, then it would set up nicely. But then we'd have to play the winner of the Suns, Lakers. So that's a tough second round matchup. Meanwhile, the opposite side is like Utah and Golden State and Denver and Dallas are the 4 teams. And that's setting up to be a much easier playoff ride for whatever team is in the 4-5-1-8. None of it's going to be easy, but in terms of making a run, that's more akin to what happened with us in 2019 versus this year, where we'd have to beat like every good team just to make their conference finals.
A Western Conference Finals run where we beat the Clippers in the first round, the Lakers in the second round, is 1,000% difference than our Western Conference Finals run of 2019, where we beat OKC in Denver.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, Stotts is a good coach, got him to the Western Conference Finals." Context, okay? We beat OKC, we beat Denver. Completely different. Like, Stotts is going to have to coach a great playoffs in order for us to beat the LA teams. You know what I mean? It's not like he had to coach a great playoffs in order for us to beat OKC and Denver. I mean, OKC, Dame just put the team on his back the entire series. Denver, Rodney Hood and CJ McCollum put the team on their back the entire series. And Denver struggled to shoot in that series. So, completely different situations those would be. But, yeah, definitely want to avoid those LA teams if you want a Western Conference Finals run, because those are the top 2 teams that would give us fits. I know Salty's in here, who's a Suns fan, might not like me saying the Clippers would give us more problems than his Suns, but just matchups. It's just matchups and style of play. The Clippers would give us a ton of problems.
Unfortunately, we don't match up well with the Suns either. But...
I mean, I don't have confidence. I don't have a ton of confidence against the Suns. I mean, they've blitzed us, so not trying to take away from them at all. It's just the size, the trap ability, and what like Kawhi and Paul. I mean, defensively, the Clippers give us a lot of problems. The Suns are good defensively, but they're not as tough to match up against for our offense as the Clippers are. Defending both those teams, you can't run drop scheme against either of those teams. So it's kind of the same on that end.
So Austin has a very interesting question. Do you think it would be better or worse for us if there were 10 more games and it was like a normal season and we still had, 14 more games versus 4 games?
Would that be good for us?
Do you think that would be good or bad?
I don't think it'd make a difference.
Yeah. I think it would be bad in terms of, theoretically, we're playing our best basketball right now. If we had 14 more games, we might swing back the other way by the time the season was over. But if we had 14 more games, we would still have a chance to move up in the standings and possibly have a different matchup. So that I could see it playing out both ways. But
yeah. I mean, we're only 5 games back in the Nuggets. If you had 14 games left, maybe you won't. How many times have we played the Nuggets this year? Only 3, right?
We've only played them twice, so yeah, we have our last third and final matchup coming up.
So we'd have 2 more games. Yeah, so we'd have 2 more games against them out of the final 14, down 5. Like, we'd have a chance at getting home court advantage. Again, the 4 seed. Not really a big difference, but in a normal year, home court advantage would matter more. But it would give us a much better chance of passing the Mavericks for 5th and getting Denver as a first round matchup. Like, that's the dream. That's the dream, is that the Clippers are the 3 seed, okay? The Lakers are the 7 seed, and we get the 5 seed, and we face Denver in the first round, and then we face the winner of Utah and Golden State. Although if we got Golden State, we've seen how that go. I mean, I don't know, but obviously they're nowhere near as good.
I mean, both those teams shoot the 3 well.
Yeah, or maybe it's Utah and Memphis or something like that. Like, that's an easy path. That's like a 2019 path. That's easier than a 2019 path, I think, to be honest. So, I mean, that's the dream. It's just going to be tough. Dallas just has a cupcake schedule the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to be on the other side as the Suns. I'll be rooting for the Suns just for the Valley guys. Just for you, Gabe, and Salty, and all you guys. Especially if you're facing the Lakers. That would be an entertaining. Here's the thing. Like, I want the Blazers to get, but the playoffs should be extremely entertaining this year. Just around the league. I mean, right now, if you're looking at the Eastern Conference playoffs, you got some intriguing storylines. You have Atlanta and New York right now that wouldn't be in play-in position. Right now, New York and Atlanta would play each other in the first round.
One of those teams is a second-round team.
One of those teams is a second-round team.
Yeah.
What? That's so crazy to me. Now, they're not locked into 4 or 5, so Atlanta could fall. Miami's only a half game back of 5th place Atlanta. But if those two faced each other, and then you got Miami versus Milwaukee. Right now, the playoff series would be Philadelphia versus Charlotte. Okay.
Well, actually, Boston and Charlotte would play in the first playing game, and Washington and Indiana would play in the other one. Pretty exciting.
So, I'm just saying, like, say things sort out based on seeding. Right now, you'd have Philadelphia and Charlotte. So you have LaMelo, Gordon, Hayward, Charlotte. It's kind of a surprise team going up against Philadelphia. Maybe they can make a little bit of noise. Probably not, but
Washington could beat them, though, and then that Washington versus Philly. Westbrook, Beal, and versus Simmons and Embiid. That would be a good series.
Yeah, or even if Indiana plays its way into 8th. They have talent. They've been a playoff team previous years. They'll probably be healthier than ever in the playoffs if they can make it. I don't know TJ Warren's status, but I mean, they have talent.
They announced he was out for the rest of the season.
Out for the season. That sucks, man. They've been snake bitten, but that'd be an interesting 1-8. No matter who the Sixers face, it's not going to be a team like the Magic of previous years. Charlotte might not make more noise, but they're more interesting. You got LaMelo Ball, you got Gordon Hayward, you got Terry Rozier, you got some players on that team.
And
I know they don't got Aaron Gordon, but they got players.
That is a disaster for the Bucks if it finishes this way, because the Heat, we saw it last year in the playoffs,
be the 3-6.
last regular season. They seem to have the Bucks number and ways to take Giannis and Middleton out of those games. And so if they get knocked out of the first round, although if you're a big fan of Chris Middleton possibly being available after the Bucks lose in the first round, then that would be the ideal scenario for that trade to become a possibility. Like maybe if they bow out and want something different at the 2 position.
Yeah, the 2-7 right now would be Brooklyn, Boston, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker versus Brooklyn's big 3. Like Boston would be one of the best 7 seeds ever. Like, I still think they, like, talent-wise, they have the talent on that team to maybe make noise in a 2-7 series. Like, I would expect those games to be pretty competitive, much more competitive than Brooklyn against a normal 7 seed. Okay, 3-6, yeah, Bucks, Heat, and then 4-5, Knicks, Hawks. And then the Knicks versus Hawks in a series would be fun. One of those is a second round, too. That would be entertaining. That would be super entertaining. Western Conference side, you got Utah versus potentially Golden State. Right now, Golden State's the 8. Utah's been dominant all season, but they haven't been too good of a playoff team. And then they're going up against Steph Curry and the Warriors as the 8th seed. Can Steph Curry put the team on his back and lead the Warriors to another 8-1 upset? Or will Utah dominate? How will Utah look in that first-round playoff series? Will they look like Utah of previous years, or are they just that much better this year? That would be an interesting narrative for that series.
A one-game play-in with Golden State, if they win that, they had the 7th, right? And then the Lakers would fall to the 8th seed.
I mean, that play-in would be a phenomenal play-in game.
Yeah, that would be.
Like, I'm excited for the play-in games.
And then the Suns would get the Warriors instead of the Lakers. And then the Lakers on the opposite side of the bracket if they get healthy or whatever.
Could be Lakers Jazz as a 1-8. That would be insane.
My dream is still alive to see the Lakers lose both play-in games.
Dude, I'm hoping. Fingers,
bro. That would be the best thing ever.
At this point, they. It's going to be hard. But Memphis is only 3 games behind them. If they lose the rest of their games, unlikely. But yeah, that's not going to happen. Nah, never mind. But either way, I mean, Lakers Warriors, great playing game. If it shakes out how it stands now, you got Utah versus Golden State. Then Suns is a 2 seed. Unproven team, not much playoff experience, but you got Chris Paul leading that team. Can he finally, make an NBA Finals? You got Chris Paul versus LeBron, 2-7, Lakers Suns. That's going to be the most entertaining 2-7 series of all time, most likely, unless, one of them. I don't see the Suns running away with it against the Lakers, but I don't see the Lakers running away with it against the Suns. The Suns are really, really good right now. So that's entertaining. Clippers-Blazers might be the least competitive first-round matchup if the Blazers don't improve their style of play from previous playoff series, man. But still, like, Portland has, if they can, I don't know, like, they can score. Who knows? 4-5, Denver, Dallas, Luka versus Jokic. I mean, the playoffs are going to be entertaining. So even if the Blazers struggle, I am going to be entertained by this year's playoffs more so than maybe any other playoffs. Just a lot of really interesting storylines, a lot of teams that kind of surprised with how well they did, from Utah to Phoenix to New York to Atlanta to even Charlotte there at the 8th seed. And then you got the big 3 in Brooklyn. You got Miami versus Milwaukee round 2. There's just so many storylines setting up for this playoffs. I'm looking forward to it. I sound like an NBA advertiser or something, but I'm looking forward to it.
Trevin asked, who has the Lakers pick this year? I believe Pelicans have it, but it's reverse protected. I want to say, like, if it's 8 through 30, they don't get it, and then it becomes unprotected next year. But if
it's a top 4 pick,
if it moves up into the top 4, it goes to the Pelicans this year.
Yeah. So Zach said Lakers get the 14th best odds, but get lucky and get a top 4 pick. That would be funny because it'd go to the Pelicans. No, I don't want the Pelicans to get it. They'll probably get Evan Mobley, who is like the perfect fit next to Zion. Oh my goodness, that would be disgusting. Or Jalen Suggs goes there, and I'm sad because I want Jalen Suggs to go to Eastern Conference team so I can root for him. I want him to go to Toronto so I can root for a Jalen Suggs, Gary Trent Jr. backcourt, but that's probably not going to happen. But, I mean, I'm just looking forward to it, though. Draft is going to be one of the best drafts in years. Free agency, you got some quiet storylines leading up to it. I'm just looking forward to the next few months for the NBA.
Yeah, the Pelicans would have two first rounder or 2 lottery picks then too. So
yeah, if the Lakers miss the playoffs, a lot of teams will want to be the Pelicans in our mock off season.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we might depend if the Blazers make a run. We'd probably have to start that after the lottery, anyways. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the playoffs, man. Lots of interesting storylines. It's not kind of some playoffs. It's just like, yeah, this team, the Warriors are going to be in the finals, and the rest is just pointless. This year, there's parity. It could be. The Jazz could make it. The Suns could make it. The Clippers could make it. The Lakers, of course, can make it. In the Eastern Conference, yeah, you got Brooklyn, but I don't think Brooklyn's like that head and shoulders above it. They've barely played. Their big three has barely played together, right?
It would certainly be an outlier for a team both that bad defensively, same with us if we made a run, but that bad defensively and that many players having that little game time together in a season, but winning a championship. So there's a lot of historical statistics against that team, but at the end of the day, in a 7-game series, they still have 3 of the better players in the NBA, and it's going to end a lights-out shooter on top of that. So it's still going to be tough to beat them in a 7-game series, in my opinion. But yeah, I could definitely see them choking or going all the way and winning it all.
Yep, there's parity. There's parity this year, and it's going to be competitive. Even with as loaded as the Nets are, I think that, like Boston could be competitive against them. Like Boston has the talent to be competitive against them, and I think their talent matches up pretty decently. They got the wing defenders to throw it at KD and to James Harden with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Can Giannis finally get to a finals? It's Milwaukee got a chance to get to the finals. Brooklyn, of course, is the favorite, but Philadelphia as well. Philadelphia matches up pretty well with Brooklyn, I think, too. And then Miami made the run last year. Maybe they can make another run. And then, bro, if the Knicks make a run, I don't think they can, but that's a cool storyline. So there's a lot of parity. It's really competitive.
I almost feel like the Bucks are like one of the more under the radar good teams this year, which is weird because they've been really good the last couple of years, but since they're not like running away in first place like they have the last couple of seasons, it seems like they're like not as good as they were, but they still have, they upgraded their starting lineup with Drew Holiday, and so if they're healthy, they're still a dangerous team that can make a run. And I forgot who it was, but someone said they felt bad for Milwaukee if they lose in the first round. But it's one of those teams where you want them to somewhat be rewarded for keeping Giannis and him being loyal to them. So I don't root for their downfall, but that also might benefit us. It's kind of tough, but they're still a super dangerous team, and Giannis is someone who the Nets can't guard at all. So if they end up in that 2-3 game, that's going to be a great series in my opinion as well.
Yeah. So we'll have you covered. We'll preview the series on a Blazers Uprise live episode. That channel link is in the description below. Second channel, streaming Mondays and Thursdays. So we haven't really talked a lot about the general NBA this year as much as we did last year, but going into these playoffs, we'll be covering everything. We will be covering everything. We won't be doing picks against the spread in the playoffs. That ends final day of the regular season. That ends with the regular season. That'll just give us more time to cover the playoff series and some of the narratives, and we will be glued in on all of it. So looking forward to it, man. Hopefully the Blazers can make some noise. Hopefully it's not a situation where everything's competitive except for the Blazers. Because Dame will just get slandered on Twitter, man. And I'm tired of it. Tired of seeing it. Yeah. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully the signs that the Blazers have shown in these previous few games are a sign of things to come, and they're going to have some sort of success. Or at least be competitive. I mean, if they take the Clippers to 6-7 games, I'm not disappointed. That's a really tough team.
I was going to say that too. Like, it's not about necessarily beating a team, because obviously the Clippers are going to be favored and should win that series. So if they play well, it's going to be really tough. But I just don't want to see us get swept or like just blow leads in every game or just completely look like our game plans were terrible and stuff. So
well, let me just say this: if we get it to like 6-7 games because Dame just plays insane and all our guys play insane, but it's like we're not putting them in a good position as a coaching staff, then I'm going to be mad.
Yeah.
If it's like Dame's running into traps and hitting double team 35-footers and we're giving them a bunch of open looks, and therefore like Dame's hitting all these insane shots, but the games we lose is like 130 to 130 because we run drop scheme all game long and we take it 7 because of the talent we have on this team, then I will be mad. Okay, I'd be disappointed in that. But if we come out with good game plans and like if we come out with good game plans, that gives us the best chance for success. And then if we lose simply because they're a really good team and we lose in 6 or 7 in that way, then I won't be mad. I won't be disappointed. I might be a little bit disappointed. You want them to win, but it's going to be completely different. Like that type of loss is acceptable. Putting ourselves in a bad position, not giving ourselves the best chance to succeed is what is more unacceptable for me.
Yeah.
Going into that type of series.
Yep, agreed.
Anyway, talked a lot about the general NBA. Is there anything left that you want to touch on from this game?
No. In my opinion, Monday is a must-win.
Houston.
I think you don't want to give up the momentum you have right now heading into those final 3 games in the playoffs. So I expect and hope that they come out and play the way they did this evening and just take care of business and put them away as well. And I'll, of course, be there hoping to watch that happen live. So that'll be
lucky. Yeah, so it'll be a solo stream until Eric gets... It'll be, a solo stream for like an hour, probably?
Yeah, probably about that. I'm going to be... I think I'm going to drive and park somewhere near the arena, so...
Yeah, shouldn't have to struggle for parking. I
usually take Max, so it usually takes a lot longer to get home. But
yeah, you won't have to battle for parking, man. Mm-hmm. You'll be able to park pretty much as close as you want to. So that's the one positive, I guess. The Houston Rockets, yeah, they were 11-10. Eric, they're 16-52,
and they beat us.
Yeah, they beat us. Yeah. To go from 7-9 to 8-9. Yeah, January 28th, I'm looking at it right now. But in their last, let me do some quick math. That's what? 40. In their last 47 games, they're 5-42. Yeah, we better not lose to them. All the good things the team has done in the last 8 games, they won 7 out of 8. If they lose to the Houston Rockets, who have won 5 games in their last 47 games, then it's all out the window. You know what I mean? Like, that would be, that's a must win. That should be an automatic win. It's a must win because it should be an automatic win, essentially. That would just kill their momentum if they lost to Houston.
And I don't think Kevin Porter played today. I don't think Christian Wood they're probably just going to shelf him for the rest of the season. So
Kenyon Martin Jr., the last 2 games, 26 points and 27 points. That's been the guy who's been playing well for him.
Yeah. But we shouldn't have any problems with them. And just the importance of that game to us in terms of how that sets up how we can go at the last 3 games being pretty much set into the 6th position, if not have a chance to get higher if Dallas messes up. Just the consequences of losing that game and possibly having to fight to be the 7th over those last 3 games, or not to be the 7th, is just it's huge. So yes, I know technically it's not a must-win, but it's as close to a disaster loss as you can get if we do lose that game.
So you're an NBA nerd that knows pretty much every player in the league, right? So other than Kenyon Martin Jr., they played 7 other guys. Eric, can you guess any of them?
I saw their starting lineup.
Oh, so you know their starting lineup?
It was like Deron Lamb.
Anthony Lamb?
I don't think Anthony Lamb, sorry. I can't even get my Lamb right. But they have Olynyk.
No, Olynyk didn't play today.
Oh, he didn't?
No.
Maybe this was last night that I saw it then. Did DJ Augustine play?
Yeah. You got 2.5. You said Lamb, but you said De'Ron, so that's only half credit. Okay.
In my defense, that was an ex-NBA player.
Yeah. I mean, it was a real guy. I'll give you that.
Oh.
You're blanking on a pretty obvious one.
Jay Sean Tate.
Yes.
Well, you already said Kenyon Martin Jr.
Yep. And then the other one has a brother that was playing at the University of Memphis.
I'm only missing one.
Yeah. And his brother was playing at the University of Memphis.
Did they even have enough players to play?
They got 8. Was on a 2-way with Sacramento recently.
There was I didn't say Daniel House yet, right?
No, but Daniel House came off the bench, so that wasn't the guy who
started. Oh, you're talking about
but he did play, yeah. You got three other ones.
What is that guy's name?
The guy that played in Sacramento, do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's like Jeff
Gordon?
No. Jeffries.
Yes, Daquan Jeffries.
There we go.
Reese tossed it out. I don't know if Reese knew it off the top of his head, but 2 other guys off the bench. Former Detroit Pistons legend. Yeah. There's 2 more guys you haven't mentioned, all right? Former Detroit Pistons legend.
Well, Kyrie Thomas.
Yes, former Detroit Pistons legend Kyrie Thomas. And the other one, I did a double take out his name because I thought he was back in Houston again.
I have no clue on that. I'm not thinking of anything.
Armani Brooks. I saw A. Brooks in, he's a guard too. I was like, they bring Aaron Brooks back? Are they down that bad?
Is he still playing in China?
Is he? I don't know, man. How old is he?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure he went to China at one point. I don't know if he's still there.
Armani Brooks was 5 for 9 from the field tonight. This is our way of getting into the little game preview before we sign off here. Had 15 points in 33 minutes. Armani Brooks did 3 for 7 from 3, so I guess he's a shooter. Kyrie Thomas had 27 points, 5 rebounds, 5 steals, and 3 assists in 34 minutes. Was 10 for 21 from the field, 4 for 12 from 3. So Kyrie Thomas balled out today. Kenyon Martin Jr., 27 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Was 4 for 8 from 3. I guess Kenyon Martin Jr. shoots threes. I mean, I don't know. With a team like this, Daquan Jeffries, 7 for 14 from the field, 17 points. It's the NBA, so guys are still talented. You know what I mean? If everybody has an on day, it's a team that could give you problems, but it's still not a team that should beat you. But you got guys that played well today. They only lost to Utah by 8. Armani Brooks, 15 points. Kyrie Thomas, 27. Kenyon Martin Jr., 27. Daquan Jeffries, 17. Literally their most notable name is DJ Augustine, who's probably their worst player. He was a negative 25, 5 points. So it's the NBA, man.
For as bad as they've been this season, they haven't really. I know GK thinks they're tanking, but they've been competitive in games and given some teams some trouble. So you do have to be careful.
Yeah. The Blazers just got to play their game. I don't want this game to come down to if the Blazers are making threes or missing threes. I want it to be a situation where they're just attacking them. Their center is Anthony Lamb is 6'6", so not him.
They didn't have a center today.
Yeah, Kenyon Martin Jr. is their center. Off the bench, their biggest player is Daniel House.
Tonight, yeah. Maybe Olynyk plays. He's been playing great for them, but
yeah, he's a DNP, sore right ankle. So if it's the lineup they had tonight, they have one guy over 6'6", and that's Kenyon Martin Jr. Okay, so don't make this a 3-point shooting battle because they were 18 for 51 tonight, 35%. They got some guys that can hit some threes. The Blazers have the advantage on the interior. Nurkic should feast. Nurkic should have a 50-point game. Okay, maybe not a 50-point game, but he should be fed, right? In 20 minutes, the dude should have 20 points, at least. Mm-hmm. And he shouldn't play more than 20 minutes, right? The Blazers have the advantage on the interior more so than they do on the 3-point line. That's rare that you can say that. But that's where they have an advantage. They just need to attack the rim relentlessly. And don't leave it up to chance, where it becomes a 3-point shooting battle, and maybe they're hot on a night when we're cold, and then it's a game. So that's my preview for the game. Attack the rim. Simple. Attack the rim.
Yep. That's good game plan.
Yep. Feed Nurkic, feed Cantor. Feed Mellow if he's willing to go to the rim and not shoot fadeaways against a 6'3" guy. If Mellow plays. Because obviously he didn't play tonight. But, yeah. So, anything you want to talk about left on this postgame show? This is kind of all over the place.
Brian, the kid said Hoodie broke his hand today. Yeah, unfortunate. That guy has some issues staying healthy. I feel really bad for him. He's going to be a free agent this summer again, and
he'll get a minimum contract somewhere.
A team will definitely pick him up, and if he's healthy, coming off a full season after that Achilles injury, maybe he has something in the tank left to give someone. So I hope that guy gets his career back on track.
His only double-digit scoring game as a Raptor was against us.
Mm-hmm. Sam Stone asked if you need to be vaccinated to be at a game. They are not requiring vaccinations. They feel like their policies and their protocols are good enough to warrant not requiring that. I don't know if that was something that was discussed or not, but it's not being required by them. There are several sports teams that are requiring that, though, for the record.
Yeah.
Since we got into an argument about it a couple months ago. Not with you, but...
yeah. It's not against... Basically, the argument was it's not against HIPAA for sports teams to ask for proof of vaccination. Because they're not forcing you to give it up. It's your choice. It's your choice to go to a game. It's your choice if you want to give up the information on if you've been vaccinated or not. It's that simple. So obviously, there's probably people watching this that feel differently than we feel on political stuff. So we're not going to get into that. It's just it's not required. I wouldn't blame them if they did require it. But I mean, it's only 10% capacity, so it's pretty spaced out.
I get my second shot 2 weeks from tomorrow, so
I should get mine next week. So, tomorrow I gotta drive up to Tacoma. I'm getting out of town for a night. On Monday, Blazers Uprise Live. The first game is at 4:30, so Blazers Uprise Live will go live around like 4 p.m., maybe slightly after 4 p.m., but we have an extra 30 minutes essentially, and I'll be driving back from Tacoma Monday morning. So we'll try and get back with like a lot of time to spare, but just pushing that back since the first game is tipping off at 4:30 instead of 4. So Blazers Uprise Live, second channel. Link in the description below. And then the Blazers play at 7, correct?
Yeah, 7. Yep.
Yeah, the Blazers play at 7. So we'll have the post-game show going live around the same time as it did tonight, around 9:30. We'll have you covered with that Rockets game. Should be a pretty chill post-game show. I would enjoy just relaxing on a stream and, talking about a 40-point win a little bit and then just chilling with you guys, talking with the community.
Waiting for me to get on to be hyped.
Yeah.
Being at the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a solo stream. So I'll kick it with you guys alone, and then Eric will be in halfway through for a change of pace, hopefully. So I dare you to shout "paint it" after every made 3, just at the top of your lungs for the broadcast to hear. Are you going to be sitting? Where are you going to be sitting?
It's...
Don't tell people. There's people that might want to fight you or something. Yeah. So I don't know. Don't tell them, man. They'll come find you.
I don't care. I'm center court, like 300 level.
He says, "Bring it on." I'm right here. Yeah, a lot of people that
would fight people, but yeah.
Well, I don't. There's people that might say something on Twitter that would not say it to your face. All right.
Yeah.
They would be.
For sure.
That'd be talking, looking straight up. Yeah, no, that's probably not gonna happen.
That's the other thing is like people misunderstand points and things on Twitter. It drives me crazy. It's so stupid, but yeah.
You have a lot of people that this is just the way I'll summarize it. Say when we're going to talk about, but you just got a lot of people that try and portray themselves as being on the moral high ground and put people below them as if people, it's people saying, saying fire Stotts is so lame and
Well,
dumb
honestly,
and bad, and then they'll go to a game and shout at Olshey. Just shout at Olshey at a game. It's like that's very hypocritical, and that's basically what it was based off of.
I mean, I don't really care. I mean, yeah, it's disgusting the way they treated you and me for a while, some of the like actual media members, but other than that, I mean, I don't care if someone doesn't like me or whatever, or doesn't want to watch the show, that's fine. But like the way they bullied and treated some like people for having an opinion about Stotts was just completely disgusting in my opinion. And to see all of them do that, and not only do that, but then to go to a game and do what I consider worse than saying fire Stotts or F Stotts on Twitter, but you're saying that to Olshey's face and to Jody Allen and stuff, like that's just, I mean, it's so hypocritical, and I have no respect for people who want to be cool and think they're awesome because they bully people on Twitter and then go to a game and do the same thing. So, that kind of behavior, I'm going to point it out. I'm going to stick up for you guys. I don't care if half of Twitter thinks I'm the lamest fun police person ever, but like, I'm just going to stand up for what I see as inappropriate by some of these people to, just completely tear into people who don't think Stotts is a good coach and have valid reasons for doing so, and then go and just scream fire Olshey at him so he has to move by halftime. That's just stupid.
Yeah. What's funny is like you have people that'll defend the person yelling at Olshey, but I'm looking at one on Twitter right now who is mad at somebody for chanting "We want Derek." Mad at somebody for trolling, saying "We want Derek." You know what I mean? It's just hypocrisy. It's just silly, and a lot of people on Twitter will try and make you look bad for having a different opinion. They certainly try to make us look bad for having a different opinion because they don't like our opinion and therefore want to make us look bad. And it's silly. It's high schoolish. It's cliquish. There are cliques in Blazers Twitter. It's just it's a bunch of BS. But I choose to try and have fun with it at this point. And what's funny is a lot of people I beefed with, Eric, I'm cool with now. There are a number of people that I'm really cool with now that a year ago we didn't like each other because we had different opinions, and now we're cool. Bro, Chad Doing unblocked me and we follow each other again because apparently he's on board with us now. I mean, it's funny how...
I'm still blocked by him.
We need to get you unblocked. Because now apparently he's like saying the same things we were that he vehemently disagreed with on us. You know what I mean? It's funny how fast things can change. You know what I mean? So it's just is what it is. It was just... Blazers Twitter was definitely a scene today. But yeah, I mean, I think people appreciate you not being afraid to speak out on what you think about the team and what you think about anything. You know, that's respectable. Even if some people just want to go at your neck for it.
And for the record, I just want to make this clear. I am not saying I'm better than anyone. I'm not trying to take a moral high ground or anything like that. If you want to go scream F Olshey the whole game, fine. I'm not going to say anything to you. But I am going to say something to you if every time someone says F Stotts or fire Stotts on Twitter, you were one of the first persons saying, if my kid said something like that, I would beat their ass and stuff like that. So if you want to come at people and then every time someone says Stotts is a bad coach, you automatically assume there is some immature 15-year-old or whatever, then act like an immature idiot yourself. I'm going to call that out. And it's not me saying that they need to be better. It's me saying stop with the hypocrisies. Like, if you want to be like that, fine. Just don't call people out for doing the same thing because you don't like their opinion versus all these people who came at me today for hours, and I'm still getting notifications on this. They're all defending someone who's being a hypocrite. And if you want to be that way, fine, because you like the guy and because you're on Team Fire Olshey, so it's okay for him to do it. But since you like Stotts, it's not okay for anyone to say anything bad about him ever. So, like, that's complete BS in my mind, and I don't care. Everyone that's my age that's the cool kids and wants to be in that stupid high school, college level BS that this guy wouldn't be cool to party with. I don't give a crap, dude. I'm 4 years old. I have so many. going to a party sounds like horrible to me. I'm sorry. Like,
there's probably half of the people don't even know what we're talking about. It is just
right.
such a silly thing. It's just
know,
this arguing about parties and oh my goodness.
I had my fun back in the day, my college years. I partied and whatever. Like, I don't even give a crap anymore. Like, that sounds so awful to me to go to a party right now. I'd much rather come home, watch some sports, play some video games, have time with my kids, whatever. Like that kind of stuff. Worry about my business and stuff like that. I could care less how many people think I'm uncool because I said something about some guy not being able to have fun at a game, which is completely not the point I was trying to make. And all those people coming at me are completely missing my point, and that's why I hate Twitter, because like it's so hard to show like through that row of characters like what you're trying to say and all that kind of stuff.
For me, it's just like if you show people at all that don't like you or don't like your opinion, that you're upset, they'll just take it and run with it and try and escalate it and make you more of it. That's just the way people are. Like, so, I don't know. I try and just avoid, looking like I always. You essentially just got to try and make it like, I don't know. It's hard to like speak up for it, but then also not get painted out to be caring about Twitter too much, because that's the thing. You speak out on something and people are like, you're taking Twitter too seriously. It's just jokes, bro. Yada yada. Why are you taking it so seriously? And it's just that stupid stuff. So it's just there's no way to win with some people. There's no way to. It's just gonna be bickering back and forth, and people are gonna hate. And the bigger we get, the more people will like us, the more people that hate us. That's just the way it is. And there's no big Twitter account that, in regards to Blazers Twitter, that doesn't have some people that hate it or some people that hate on it. So, I mean, it's going to happen.
That was the stupidest thing of all time. So people accused me of going after that particular guy for trying to get clout for the channel. I don't give a I don't care, dude. Like, I would never, ever tweet to try and get clout like half the people who came at me today are obviously trying to do.
How does that dude have clout? Like, what clout does that guy have?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
I was so confused.
Here's the thing. Like, I have a lot of good friends, and this community is great, and a lot of you guys, I've really enjoyed interacting with all of you. Tori and I have become good friends, in my opinion, over the last handful of years, and it's been great meeting a lot of people and stuff like that. Like, I don't care if you guys aren't cool at parties or I still want to hang out with you guys and go play some basketball, and maybe afterwards when we're able to have a beer or something. Like, I don't care if you think I'm cool or not.
Have a beer with the people over 21. All right, let me make sure to make that disclaimer before we get sued.
Or, just, we can all go out to dinner or something. Whatever. It's just, it's stupid. Like, I don't care about, I have to uphold this reputation on Twitter so all these people think I'm cool if we ever go to a party together. Like, what? Who cares about that, dude? Like, you're an adult. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Mac Mole says, honest question, what is Blazers Twitter? It is just Twitter accounts that are fans/non-fans, media of the Blazers, or is it something else? It's like a community. It's like, the thing is, everybody who's Blazer fans on Twitter generally will have consistent interactions with each other. So it's like a community like that. Even with the people you can't stand, you'll generally bump into them or get into beef with them or have conversations with people that are friends with them. You know what I mean? It's just essentially a community. So everybody's a part of the community that's generally active on Twitter tweeting about the Blazers. Not every Blazer fan on Twitter is part of Blazers Twitter, but if you're active on Twitter and tweet about the Blazers with a bunch of other people that tweet about the Blazers, you're a member of Blazers Twitter. That's just how it goes. This is a community. A lot of our community in this chat are on Twitter and constantly communicate, tweet at each other, talk basketball with each other on Twitter as well. So there is an extension of this channel and this channel's community on Twitter, which is cool. It's enjoyable. It makes Twitter a lot more enjoyable. Yeah. And those are the people that will be having Eric's back. And then you have this Kevin guy, which apparently, I don't know, he has clout because he has 1,200 followers. And
Well,
his
in that
and
whole
his guys.
Pinwheel crew,
Yeah, it's the Pinwheel crew, and the Pinwheel Empire side of Twitter will back him up and tell you starting to fight with my guy Kevin. You go take a nap, just stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just so cliquish and dumb. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's entertaining though. I was entertained today. And then once I had enough, I went and I got a haircut and I got a scalp massage, and it just, all the stress kind of anxiety that built up from it washed off me. I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm reborn. Gonna go up to a wedding tomorrow. Gonna not be on Twitter and just going to take a break for the most part from technology. Watch, I'll live tweet the wedding like I do a Blazer game. Who I'm gonna be criticizing the guy running the wedding. But no, I'm enjoy my day tomorrow. Come back with 2 streams on Monday.
For the record, real quick, I do not think of anyone as my disciples or trying to get followers or trying to convince people to think my way. I don't care. Those people railed on the show and said how horrible it was and all that kind of stuff. I haven't even
done anything, and I just come on Twitter and people are hating on my channel. Like, all right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't care. I like the people who watch us and the people who want to be here and all the time, but if you don't like us, that's fine. I understand that. We're not trying to make everyone like us. Like Tori said, we're gonna have people who don't like us.
I don't give up.
Yeah,
I don't give one single. I can't. I don't cuss, bro. I hold myself to too high of a standard because it's YouTube. I should just be cussing right now, but I mean, your mom might be watching, so yeah. I don't care. Go ahead and There's people that'll like you. There's people that'll dislike you. That's life. That's whenever you have any sort of platform, that's what's going to happen. As long as some people like it, I'm cool. As long as we got a cool community, I'm cool. I don't care what happens on the Pinwheel Empire side of Twitter.
Well, some of the people are going after Trevin because his name was Trevin. What is that? That's so
A guy named Corbin was making fun of Trevin for being named Trevin.
I know. No one have to be I'm sorry, but you... they try to say we're uncool. You are the lamest person ever if you're making fun of what
names,
someone's parents called them. That's so dumb. And Trevin's not even a bad name. It's a great name.
It's a normal... yeah. So, yeah, Twitter was a roller coaster today.
The thing that drives me crazy, say what you want about the channel, but, I mean, we're not doing bad. It's not a failed YouTube show. So, I mean... We're averaging... Well,
that's the thing. They can say it's trash, but they can't say it's unsuccessful.
Well, they did several times today, but...
Well, they don't know what they're talking about.
They're wrong. Yep. So, yeah.
I mean, we're pretty successful. I mean, that's the thing. It's they'll say we're unsuccessful, and then, all your guys' followers are annoying. It's okay, well, if we're unsuccessful, then how do we have followers? How do we have a community, then? People will, reference us as, having a community, but then say we're, unsuccessful with our YouTube channel. It's how do... those go hand in hand.
See, people can't fathom that we're not trying to take everything over. We're not trying to outdo Blazers Outsiders, and we're not trying to be the main Blazer media or whatever. They can't understand that we're just doing our thing, and if people want to watch us, great. And several of you do like watching us, and we like having you here, and we really appreciate everyone who tunes in and watches us and supports us. You guys are amazing, but we're just 2 dudes talking basketball, and if people don't want to tune in, that's fine with us. But obviously the viewership shows that there is an audience for this, and there are people that are interested in what we have to say. So I'm going to continue to be on here as long as Tori will have me, and as long as you guys keep wanting to watch us. So we're
good at what we do. People that don't like our opinions will trash us, but it's because of our opinions. It's not because of what we do. Have those guys really watched a stream before? No. You know what I mean? And if they did, it was probably with it in mind that they were going to hate on us, trying to find things to hate on us for. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's bro, we break things down in depth. We know the CBA... graphically, I think it's pretty good for a YouTube stream. I mean, and we know the game of basketball. Our content's good. I have no problem saying that. And anybody that's hating on it, it's likely due to them not liking our opinion, which is fine if they don't like our opinion. It's just why does it have to be a personal thing? Never really understood that. But here's the thing. If Stotts is gone, I wonder how things are going to change.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the reason why it'd be interesting if he leaves, because then it's like, we're the Fire Stouts side, and they're the Pro Stouts. Well, if there's no Stouts, then what happens? They probably still don't like us, but, I mean, it's interesting. You know what I mean?
And here's the thing, like, we had the Valley Pod, I don't know if any of them are still in here, but, like, that's a great, entertaining show, and they don't have the viewers yet. They're still really new, and they're trying to establish themselves. But that doesn't mean their channel's, like, a failure or anything like that. And I think, that's my advice I give to, like, Gabe, is just, like, have fun doing it. And as long as you, like, enjoy the streams and are passionate about it, it'll eventually either people will find you, or you can just keep doing it the way you're doing it and have fun doing it. But like, it's not something that, like, we obsess about, and, like, we've never really discussed, like, oh, how can we get more people to click on our channel or whatever. Like, we just do our thing, and if people want to watch, and that's great.
Yeah,
but
it's like, it's easier for them to make you look bad by saying, right, you're just trying to get clout for your channel, yada yada. You know what I mean? It's not based in any reality. It's people trying to put you down, make you look bad. People trying to put me down and make me look bad. That's the thing. It's not based in any reality. It's simply people trying to put down other people. And that's how it's going to be.
And I understand. We were at the forefront of the Fire Stouts movement and all that stuff. So we get looped into the crazy side of death threats and the people who just spam Fire Stouts and stuff like that. Like, I've come to accept that we're just lumped in with those people. But, like, I don't know. I've been just as hard on some of those people who do that, like, on every Dame post, like, tell Stouts to be fired, like Hamza and Javo and those kind of guys, as I have been people like today who do the opposite. So, like, I'm trying to do it on both sides, and like, I just wish people would respect others' opinions, and then it just drives me crazy that those people try to act like they're like that and are like getting mad at these people for doing it disrespectfully, and then they act the way they did today.
Yeah, it's just to make you look bad. It's just to make people look bad. You know, everything's just a tactic to try and put down people. You know, it's that's what it was today. It was, they create this standard that they themselves don't meet, but when they portray the standard, it portrays them as being of moral superiority to, you know, somebody who doesn't like the coach, right? And then, but they don't follow it. And then if you call them out on it, they'll just basically spin it as you being the one who's toxic, as if they were right for putting themselves on the moral high ground. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no way to go with that unless you're just making jokes about it. That's just what I was trying to do today.
Don't hate Neil Olshey.
Yeah. How dare you? How dare you, Eric? How dare you not hate that man?
But if you think any other person is the problem from then Olshey, you're toxic, and yeah.
It's just so dumb.
Gordon, that was the funniest.
What?
Sports are different than than Amazon and Jeff Bezos or whatever, or Tesla with you know.
But we're supporting corporate.
Like, what? Okay, so like a GM of a team and a coach and stuff, that's not like a CEO, and you're supporting the rich CEO while he gives these horrible working conditions to his employees and all that kind of stuff. Like, most of the employees make more than the CEO or the front office. So Dame makes more than any of them, including Jody Allen from the Blazers team the last couple of years. So, like, that's just so dumb.
Dame's
like,
the CEO,
to make that
man.
analogy.
Dame's the CEO of this organization as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, see, it's like, you're the type of person that backed Jeff Bezos and not Amazon workers. That's what you're doing by backing Olshey. It's like, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Just trying to make you look bad as possible. Right. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. You dirty capitalist. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's just, that's the way it is. It's comical. It's funny. It's funny. It's just, sometimes I feel like you just gotta laugh at it. You know, never gonna convince everyone. We've convinced quite a few people, or at least we've had a lot of people see what we're talking about. You know, so it's not even about convincing people. It's just,
you're right. Yeah, it's not about convincing people. I just don't want people to like act like we're not providing things. And I only mentioned that we have hundreds of hours of footage because then you got someone like, it'll always be like, well, give a rational argument as to this, why? And I'm like, dude, I give that every single day just about. Like, I'm not just going to sit here for hours because you obviously have no reason to understand me, or like you don't want to listen to me, so like it's just stupid. And we have a $5 donation from Kyle
Banger
Wilson.
comment here.
Thank you, Kyle. Do you want to read it or you want me
to? Kyle says Dame is the CEO of Oregon, not just the Blazers, Eric.
Yeah,
not just the Blazers. He's the CEO of Oregon. He said, we need fans. It's dumb not to have them. And the state said, as you wish, my master.
Within
Banger
a few
comment.
hours of like the exact opposite comments of how more counties were going to go in the excessive rate and we're going to be shut down for several more weeks. And then all of a sudden, not only did Dame save fans, but like all counties went back under to high risk instead of excessive risk.
He just snapped his fingers and just changed the whole. Yeah, I mean, Dame's the governor as far as I'm concerned. I mean, not really, because I don't get blamed for some other stuff. But I mean, Dame, I don't know. Dame runs Oregon. Dame runs Oregon at this point because he snapped his fingers and said, "We need fans," and that's basically how it happened. Like, seems like exaggeration, but that's basically how it happened.
That's what happened. Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Dame. That was cool. I mean, every other stadium has fans in safely, so. Yeah, jealous of you that you get to go to a game. Very jealous of you, Eric.
It's going to be fun. Eric
I'm sure it would.
Y'all never took credit for the influence this channel had. I mean, if people want to give us credit, that's fine. But, I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's because of us that everyone changed their mind.
I don't know how much of a role we played. We played at least somewhat of a role, but I don't know how big of a role we played in it. You know what I mean? Like, people could have come around and seen this regardless, or maybe we gave people that saw this a voice, because it was like at a point where it's like nobody that covered the team, like everybody that covered the team loved Stotts, and if you didn't, they would just trash you.
You got bullied,
and you were the black sheep of Twitter. You know what I mean? If you didn't like Stotts, and they would like discourage you from even talking about it. But then it's like we had to take all the shots a year and a half ago from some of the same people that now agree with us, Eric. So I don't know. I don't know. But I don't even like thinking about it like that. That's why I don't like taking credit, because it's not like it's not like an organized movement where we're like, we're gonna get a bunch of people to say fire Stotts and then he's gonna get fired. No, I want before the season, I was like, Stotts is talking about doing the things we want him to do defense. I just want this team to be well coached in my eyes. Okay?
Yeah.
I want, and if that's Stotts, then I'm happy. I don't care who it is. It's not about Stotts personally. I just want this team to have the best chance to win a championship. Just like any other Blazer fan that agrees with me or disagrees with me. If you're a Blazers fan, you want this team to win a championship. That's the end goal. That's the one thing we all have in common. No matter what our opinions are on Neil Olshey, on Terry Stotts, on whether or not CJ McCollum should be traded, or down the line. We all want the team to win a championship. In my opinion, the way the team has been coached for the past few years haven't given ourselves the best chance. So I want something new. I want a new coach because I feel like that could increase our chances of potentially winning a championship. And even if people disagree with that, I feel like people can respect that. Just being a fan. It's not hating on the team because we dislike the team. We're not Laker fans. We want this team to win a championship, and people have different opinions on how it gets there, and people can have their opinions on that. I just don't know why we can't all just, at this point, just agree to disagree. I'm not going out on Twitter and trying to convince people anymore like I used to. I came to the realization, let's just agree to disagree. We all want the team to win a championship, and a lot of people disagree on what's the best path to get there in terms of personnel, in terms of firing Olshey, firing Stotts, potentially selling the team, all that stuff. We don't have to agree on that. We can just agree that we all want the team to win a championship, and that should be good enough. But it's not. It's very toxic based on differing opinions, and that's the way it's going to be, I guess.
I will never say that I care more or am a bigger fan than anyone else but I can guarantee you there's no one that cares or is a bigger fan than I am. They could be equal to me, but I don't think it's possible to be more than that. I live and die with the Blazers. Yes, I've said that many times. It's unhealthy, like how mad I get sometimes and how happy I get at other times. But that's just me. Like that, I'm like ingrained with the Blazers, and like
fan.
I live and die with everything that happens with them. I want so badly for Dame to win a ring. I want so badly for myself to witness them winning a ring. And my life would be complete if that happens. I know that's really sad to like say out loud, but like that's how I truly feel. And so like I get upset when people say like, "Oh, you're not a true fan then," or whatever. Like, because that's not
just trying to make you look bad.
In my man.
Yeah, just trying to make you look bad. Yeah, I mean, Eric's as true of a fan as I know. And that's the thing. We got a lot of people in here that are the same way as us. Just diehard fans. Diehard fans are different. Shout JM $10 dono says, I used to be a huge Blazers Edge and Rip City Report fan a couple years back. I had a suspicion that their analysis was lacking, but could never put my finger on it. You guys connected the dots for me. And comment like that is cool. Appreciate it, JM. I felt like analysis of the team was lacking too. That's part of the reason why I wanted to cover the team myself. And so it's cool that people kind of feel the same way I felt, and then I succeeded in my goal of giving people what I would have wanted to listen to and what I felt was needed. Basically, I just run this channel based on what I think would be good for myself as a listener or a viewer. And it's cool that a lot of other people are like thinking on the same wavelength as me, essentially, with that. So, yeah.
And like you said earlier, it's not, you're not thinking you're trying to impress everyone or trying to, like, you recognize that some people don't feel the same, and that's totally okay. And we've never ran our show that way to where we like, you better like us or else, or anything like that. So that's what I hope people respect.
People can go watch Blazers Outsiders if they want. I am cool with that. I don't care. Different people will like different stuff in different platforms and different types of coverage. No problem with that. So anyway, anything else you want to say? Because we gotta wrap this up.
Nope. Just thank you everyone for tuning in. Good night, Mom, and good night everyone else.
Yep. We will have 2 streams on Monday. Hope to catch you then. The first stream will be around 4 p.m. Maybe a little bit after 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. On Blazers Uprise Live. That's our second channel. Link top of the description below. And then we'll have the post-game show after the Blazers-Rockets game. Should be a chill post-game show. Eric's going to the game, so don't fight. Don't fight him if he's there, Eric. Let me just say that, all right? You know? Yeah. Just behave yourself. Your mom's going to... Shoot. Your mom going to be your bodyguard?
Dude, I don't need a bodyguard, first of all, but, like, yeah, it's just funny because... I wouldn't be scared of anyone in a fight, but I also don't fight people. So like, it's
no. See, like, that's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah. It all lives on Twitter. Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah. It's all Twitter stuff. It's never anything that will ever manifest itself in real life. You know what I mean? Like, there's a number of people that'll say stuff on Twitter. They see you in person, completely different. You know, so your mom shouldn't worry about it. Hopefully she's not worried about it, because there's nothing to worry about. If you do see Eric, though, and you're, watching the channel or watching right now, say what's up to Eric. Don't be scared.
Yeah. I don't want to hear someone tell me, oh, I saw you at the game, but I was too shy to come say hi or whatever. Like, I'm not that big of a deal, so feel free to say what's up.
Make Eric feel Hollywood. Say what's up to him. Yeah.
But just real quick, I appreciated Gordon said something really nice to me earlier, and I just wanted to let him know that I appreciate it. And
Gordon's a great guy.
That's how I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys can judge for yourself, but like, I mean, I try to be a good person and not, be an a-hole to people and stuff. And it just gets a little frustrated when you're portrayed as something you're not by people who are just trying to look cool for their friends. And yeah. But I appreciated Gordon and a few other people saying some nice things to me. So thanks, man.
Yep. So anyway, we're going to wrap up this post-game show. Blazers take care of business against the Spurs, 124-102. Good way to cap off the day. Hope everybody enjoys their Sunday. We will catch you again on Monday with those 2 streams, as I said. If you're not on Twitter and you want to watch the fireworks go down, hopefully there's no more fireworks for a long time like there was today. But our Twitter handle is at this point, I think that's kind of that's kind of the only resort at times with some people on there. But if you want to follow us at Torrey Jones YT for me, at Hoopstock for Eric, at Blazers Uprise YT for the channel. That's how you can stay tuned with the videos that drop if you turn on notifications for the Blazers Uprise Twitter. I probably wouldn't turn on notifications for maybe me and Eric. You might be spammed with noties, so I'm not asking you guys to do that. Yeah, especially if it was today. But the Blazers Uprise Twitter account, we just tweet out when we're going live and when a video drops. We haven't dropped a video in a while, but should have a playoff breakdown, a playoff series preview, essentially, as well as maybe do another mailbag, not this Monday, but the next Monday. If we're the 6th seed, we should have our playoff series set, so we'd take questions about that too. Since we should, I don't know, if we're the 6th seed, we'll have like 4 or 5 days off. So yeah, we'll get out at least one video for you guys, and that's how you can know when it drops. You can turn on notifications for this channel, and you can also turn on notifications for the Twitter page in case YouTube screws up, which they do sometimes.
And I'm also hoping to have, within the next couple of weeks, my off-season primer salary cap breakdown of what to expect this summer for the Blazers.
Looking forward to that, because last year you had to drop it right after the season got canceled before the season was over. The timing will be a lot better. Obviously, there was no good timing last year with anything in anybody's lives at all.
And then the off season was so short, there was not enough time to do any like videos about it, or re-updated or anything.
Yep. So we'll have the mock-ups and we'll have all that off season. We'll have good content for you guys, and hopefully be able to run some pickup runs, all that type of good stuff. So a lot of things to look forward to in terms of the NBA, in terms of the channel, in terms of everything. So I hope everybody's looking forward to it, like I am. We will catch you on Monday. I hope Eric has fun at the game. I mean, I'm going to see you Monday before the game. So I'll just, I'll just say have fun at the game, and I'll be jealous. Yeah, I'll enjoy having a night out of town. That'll be good for me. I haven't been out of town in a while. So anyway, we will catch you Monday. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Have a good Sunday. Until Monday. I don't know. Anything you want to say, Eric?
No, good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Good night. Have a good one. This outro sucks. I don't care. Anyways, peace out. Go Blazers.